Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. One Piece, The Straw Hat Pirate's Max Level Swordsman. Chapter 21, No Freeloading. Where did you hide the wine, kid? Newgate said to Ling Tian while searching in his wooden hut. When he told Newgate that there was only the last box, Newgate refused to believe it. He immediately ignored the people on the boat and ran to his cabin to search. No, Newgate. Ling Tian said to Newgate speechlessly, it's just some wine. It's better than the milk in my hand. When Newgate heard Ling Tian's words, he immediately condensed the energy of the tremor fruit in his right hand. Oh my god, Newgate, are you serious? Here, it's all here. When Ling Tian saw Newgate condense the energy of the zhen fruit, he immediately took out the Mao Tai from the shampooing space. Newgate was also surprised when he saw Ling Tian taking out the wine. He just wanted to scare Ling Tian, but he didn't expect to get something extra. Stinky boy, I knew you still have. Boom. Newgate reacted immediately and swung his iron fist of love towards Ling Tian's head. Ling Tian covered his head and muttered. I'm not doing this for your health. Newgate ignored Ling Tian's muttering and directly picked up the mutai that Ling Tian had just taken out and returned to the Moby Dick. Aboard Moby Dick. Are you leaving? Newgate. Gulala, there are still many things to do in the new world. And this time I also got. Ahem, no. Now that we know about the second son, of course we have to go back now. When Ling Tian heard Newgate say that he got it, he changed the subject and his mouth twitched. It seems that you came to me just to get my wine for free, right? However, Ling Tian did not say anything but took out another box of mutai from the system space and placed it on the deck of the Moby Dick. This is really the last of it, Newgate, you should drink it sparingly. Ling Tian told Newgate that he didn't want Newgate to get into trouble because of drinking. But when Newgate saw the wine, he got excited and took away the mutai that Ling Tian had just taken out. My goodness, he looked as if he was afraid that if he was too late, someone else would take it away. Newgate, what? Ling Tian asked me to drink more. You are indeed my good brother. Just like that, Ling Tian watched the Moby Dick leave. Originally, Bucky was planning to leave with Newgate and the others, but Ling Tian stopped him. He still needs Bucky's help with the next things, so how could he just let him leave like that? Although he promised the Warring States period that he would not appear on the sea within 10 years, he couldn't help but feel that Ling Tian wanted to change some of the tragic things in the original work. The current timeline is the year 1498 in the Haiwan calendar. In the original book, no major events happened this year. The most recent major event also happened in the year 1499 of the Haiwan calendar, which was the year when Golden Lion Shiki escaped from the prison in Push City. So Ling Tian planned to spend a year training Buggy to master the power of Grace Sunday. In the following year, Buggy made rapid progress. Not only did he master the use of Escanor's various abilities, but he also developed some new skills based on his own splinter fruit. In the year 1499 of the Haiwan calendar, what Ling Tianji had recorded was indeed correct. The famous pirate Golden Lion Shiki escaped from the Impel Down prison, which was known as the most solid prison in the world, at the cost of his own 2 legs. What are you doing here, Shiki? Ling Tian looked at Shiki floating in the air curiously. Today, 1 month after Sky escaped from the Impel Down prison, he actually came to Redaria, and according to Golden Lion's description, it was Newgate who told Sky. In fact, this cannot be blamed on Newgate. After all, he and Shiki had a good relationship in the Rocks Pirates. His first battle was with Sky, so Newgate would tell Sky that it was normal for him to be here. It's been so long since we last met and you let me, your old friend, just hang out here. Shiji did not answer Ling Tian's words but said this. Come with me. Ling Tian didn't say anything, but took Shiji to his little house. As for if Shiki suddenly attacked him, he was not afraid. Anyway, he is immortal now, and he also possesses the world's top strength in Redaria. It is not easy to suppress an injured Shiki. By the way, Shiki, why did you come to see me? Ling Tian took Shiki to his cabin and asked. What? Shiki said a little embarrassedly. Why, Shiki, you've been locked up in the Impel Down prison for 2 years, why are you so timid? If you have any questions, just ask me. I will definitely help you if I can. Ling Tian said directly and casually that he and Shiki had a good relationship when they were in the Rocks Pirates, so if there was anything Ling Tian could help Shiki with, he would definitely help him. Well, unless Shiki asks him to help him mess up the world. Gee ha 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 ha. Shiki laughed. Come to think of it, after being locked up in Pushan City for 2 years, I have become so timid. I am the great pirate, Shiki the Golden Lion. Ling Tian couldn't help but chuckle when he saw what Golden Lion said. Well, Ling Tian, I heard from Newgate that you have a good wine here, hurry up and bring it out for me to taste. When Ling Tian heard Shiji's words, the corners of his chuckled mouth suddenly stiffened. What? Another one who comes to drink my wine for free? Why does that fellow Newgate say everything? Didn't I tell him that those were the last 2 boxes? In fact, what Ling Tian didn't know was that Newgate told Shiki when he entered the city of Push. However, as soon as Shiki escaped, he remembered that Newgate had told him that Ling Tian had good wine. In order to alleviate the pain he had suffered in Impel Down in the past 2 years, Shiki came to Ling Tian to ask for wine. Shiki, if I say there's no more, will you believe me? Boom. Stop talking nonsense and bring it out to me. When Shiki heard Ling Tian's words, he immediately threw his iron fist at Ling Tian's head. Damn, why do you old guys like to use the iron fist of love? Even a guy named Monk said, do you see the mark on my face? This is my father's deep love for me, which has not dissipated after so many years. Ahem, of course Ling Tian himself doesn't count. He won't admit that he is an old man. He is just a young man in his 30s. Cough cough. Ling Tian coughed twice and took out a box of mutai and gave it to Shiji. Go, 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 go quickly, take this box of wine and go. Ling Tian immediately drove the man away. Damn, you just come to me to get free wine. Do you know that I won these wines through lotteries so many times? It's not easy to get them specifically. Author, it's just a bad luck, what's so difficult about it? This is for you. Shiji handed Ling Tian a map, which was the place where he hid the treasures he had previously taken. Ouch, it's not a free ride this time, long live Shiki. Although he had no shortage of treasures, he was still very happy if people could get his wine for free. That guy Newgate had been getting his wine for free for so many years. Chapter 22 Goodbye Kaido. Bucky. Ever since that guy Shiki took Ling Tian's wine and left, Ling Tian continued to train Buggy. However, Ling Tian did not want to train Buggy today, but planned to go find old friends with Buggy. As for who this old friend is? Author, you can tell from the title. What happened, brother Ling Tian? When Buggy heard Ling Tian calling him, he flew over immediately. But just by listening to Buggy's trembling voice, you can tell how afraid of Ling Tian he is now. This year he has been living a life worse than death. Although his abilities have improved a lot. Don't be nervous, Buggy, we're not training this time. Ling Tian noticed Bucky's nervousness and couldn't help but laugh. Really? When Bucky heard Ling Tian say there would be no training today, he immediately became excited. Hey, idiot! Ling Tian teleported and caught Bucky, who was so excited that he was about to jump into the sea. Idiot, you haven't forgotten that you are a person with special abilities, have you? Ling Tian threw Bucky aside and said. Bucky scratched his head embarrassedly when he heard Ling Tian's words. He had been practicing the power of Grey Sun for the past year, so he had actually forgotten that he was a devil fruit user. When Ling Tian saw Buggy like this, he knew that Buggy had really forgotten that he was a devil fruit user. Okay, Buggy, follow him. Ling Tian created a physical clone and said to Buggy. When Buggy was in Rogue Town, he already knew that Ling Tian had a physical clone, so he was not that surprised. Buggy and Ling Tian's physical clones boarded a ship and headed directly in one direction. After getting on the boat, Ling Tian took out a black cloak and a pure white mask with some black stripes from the system space. The black cloak is the cloak of Kamen Rider Aichi, Brother E. This cloak is very powerful. It has the ability to invalidate all abilities that attack himself. In the movie version of W, if Brother E had not lost this cloak, it would be hard to say who would win or lose in the end. The mask is the mask of General Naiga of the Ninja Army in Jackie Chan Adventures. What? Why is it pure white? Of course, it was because the original mask was too ugly, so Ling Tian transformed the original mask into this pure white mask. As for how it was transformed, I can only say that you don't need to know so much about the novel. Hey, brother Ling Tian, why do you wear a mask and a cape? Bucky was puzzled. Ling Tian told Buggy about the agreement between him and Zhang Guo. Result. Brother Ling Tian, do you still have the mask? Brother Ling Tian, your cape is so cool. Brother Ling Tian, please get me one. Brother Ling Tian. Just like that, during the days of sailing, Buggy kept yelling in his ears, and even when Ling Tian gave him a few iron fists of love, Buggy didn't stop. It wasn't until Ling Tian gave Buggy a cloak and mask without any abilities that Buggy was willing to let him go. A few days later, Ling Tian and Buggy finally arrived at the waters of Wano country. We're here, Buggy. Ling Tian stood at the bow and looked at the waterfall in front. Because the beast's pirates have not yet grown strong, there are no pirate patrols in the waters of Wano country. Are we there yet? Where? Where is Wano country, the land of samurai? Because Roger and his friends have never been to Wano country, Buggy has no idea about the situation in Wano country. They had just passed by before but did not land on the island. Brother Ling Tian, the country of Wano is not on that waterfall, right? Buggy asked tentatively. That's right, Buggy, just fly up next. As he said that, Ling Tian flew up directly with the gale ring. Ling Tian drew 2 of these rings, one for Buggy and one for himself. Who? A man in a suit, a mask, and a pair of wings spoke to Ling Tian. This is the Flame Ashes, one of the 3 disasters in the future. Can you please let me know? We are looking for Kaido. Adhering to the principle of not taking action if possible, Ling Tian directly told Jin the purpose of his coming here. Wait here. After giving some instructions to his men, Jin flew directly into Wano country. Ling Tian was also relieved when he saw Jin flying to find Kaido. Luckily it was Yin who was guarding here, if it was Jack who would definitely say who do you think I am? After waiting for more than 10 minutes. A green dragon poked its head out from the clouds and spoke. Who is looking for me? Dragon. Dragon is Kaido, the captain of the beast's pirates. Buggy said as he saw Kaido's eyes glowing in his beast form. Boom. Don't act like an inexperienced person. You are a member of the Pirate King's crew after all. Ling Tian gave Buggy an iron fist of love. Roger's crew, who are you? Kaido narrowed his eyes when he heard Ling Tian's words. Long time no see, Kaido. Ling Tian greeted Kaido. Long time no see? Who are you? Because Ling Tian is wearing a mask and a cloak, Kaido now has no idea who Ling Tian is. You should know this. Ling Tian raised the knife at his waist and said. This sword, you are. Kaido recognized the knife in Ling Tian's hand at a glance, but when he was about to say Ling Tian's name, Ling Tian made a hushing gesture. Let's talk somewhere else. Ling Tian spoke. Well, follow me. Kaido also felt that it was inappropriate to talk here, so he took Ling Tian to his Onigashima. Before leaving, Kaido asked Jin to keep an eye on this place. Kaido's hall in Onigashima. All of you please go out. No one is allowed to come in without my notice. After Kaido gave an order, the others went out and closed the door when they left. Long time no see, Kaido. You've really become stronger. Ling Tian took off the mask on his face and spoke. Brother Ling Tian, it's really you. Kaido immediately got excited when he saw Ling Tian's face. He hadn't seen Ling Tian for decades. When they were in the Valley of Gods, he was taken away by Newgate, and Ling Tian was left there alone, although Ling Tian told him that they would meet when his pirate group became famous. But no one knew whether Ling Tian could survive what happened back then, because he was captured by the world government when he joined the Rocks Pirates, so he didn't believe what the Navy said at all. But he was very weak at that time and could only be taken away by Newgate unwillingly. He had not heard any news about Ling Tian over the years, so Kaido believed that Ling Tian had died in the Valley of the Gods. So over the years he has always hated Newgate and often fought with Newgate, because he felt that Ling Tian's death was caused by Newgate. If Newgate had taken Ling Tian away directly, Ling Tian would not have died. In fact, every time Kaido came to fight with Newgate, Newgate was confused. He had no idea how he had offended this little brat Kaido. If he knew it was because of Ling Tian, he would have told Kaido about Ling Tian's situation in Redderia long ago. Chapter 23 Loli Yamato. What's wrong, Kaido? You don't recognize me after not seeing me for more than 10 years. Ling Tian chuckled. No, how could I possibly forget brother Ling Tian? Kaido shook his head. Brother Ling Tian, are you and Kaido the beast old acquaintances? Buggy, who was standing next to him, couldn't help but speak as he watched Kaido and Ling Tian talking. Well, are you brother Ling Tian's new little brother? Kaido looked down at Buggy and said. You don't look like you have much muscle. Kaido poked Buggy, then poked his own muscles, and it was obvious that he was saying that this kid had no muscles at all, unlike me who had so many muscles. Ever since Kaido met Ling Tian, he has put down his usual burdens. Originally, he founded the pirate group because of Ling Tian's words, "When your pirate group becomes famous, we will meet again." Now that he has met Ling Tian, there is no need for him to expand his pirate group any further. Really like a child. Ling Tian couldn't help but laugh as he watched Kaido flexing his muscles. Stupid Kaido, who do you say has a red nose? Buggy suddenly jumped up and directly used the ability of Gray's Sunday. As Buggy uses the power of Gray's Sun, his body instantly becomes gigantic. Stupid Kaido, who do you say has no muscles? After using Gray's Sun, Buggy's body is a full head taller than Kaido. Wow, that's amazing, that's amazing. When Kaido saw that Buggy could actually grow so big, his eyes immediately lit up. When Ling Tian saw the appearance of Kaido, he immediately thought of Luffy. Alright, stop messing around, you two. Ling Tian said to Kaido and Buggy. Kaido and Buggy immediately stopped showing off when they heard Ling Tian's words. Especially Buggy, who immediately cancelled the power of Gray's Sun after hearing Ling Tian's words, and then hid behind Kaido. What's wrong, second brother? Kaido looked at Buggy who was hiding behind him in confusion. Because of the antics they had just shown, the two felt that they had similar interests and decided to become sworn brothers. Damn Kaido, I'm the boss. Although they became sworn brothers, they had not yet decided who would be the eldest brother. Roro, if that's the case, why are you hiding behind me? That's because you don't know how terrifying brother Ling Tian is when he's training. Buggy still hid behind Kaido and spoke. Forward. When Kaido heard what Buggy said, he also remembered the training Ling Tian gave him when he was in the Rocks Pirates. Boom. I think you're right. When Kaido recalled that memory, he immediately hid in the corner and began to tremble. Am I terrible? Ling Tian looked at them speechlessly. He wasn't that scary. Well, except for that shiny bald head. Kaido also saw Ling Tian's bald head at first, but out of respect for Ling Tian he did not laugh out loud. Okay, stop messing around. Kaido, I came to you this time to ask you to teach Buggy the armament haki and observation haki. No problem, leave this matter to me. I will definitely teach my second brother to be a strong man. When Kaido heard Ling Tian's words, he immediately stood up and patted his chest. Oh, why? Why is Kaido the one teaching me? Buggy also heard Ling Tian's words and immediately protested. Buggy, what did you say? Ling Tian blew on his fist and said. No. Nothing. When Buggy saw Ling Tian's fist, he immediately felt relieved. Let's go. Kaido, let's go train. Buggy looked at Ling Tian's fist and immediately pulled Kaido outside. Really? I'm doing this for your own good. Are you really that scared of me? Ling Tian muttered as he watched Buggy pulling Kaido outside. In this way, Buggy stayed on a Nagashima to train his haki. The next day, Ling Tian was walking on Ghost Island when he suddenly saw a cage and asked the person guarding the cage curiously. Who is imprisoned here? In fact, Ling Tian had roughly guessed it when he saw the cage, but he still wanted to ask. The person imprisoned here is Lord Kaido's son. The man guarding the cage spoke tremblingly. He saw Ling Tian talking and laughing with their Admiral Kaido at that time. There was even one time when he saw Admiral Kaido being beaten by this guy, and the Admiral didn't fight back. Is that true? You don't have to look after this place anymore. As he said that, Ling Tian destroyed the entire cage with one knife. Boom. Just when Ling Tian destroyed the cage that imprisoned Yamato, Kaido immediately sensed it. Could it be that Yamato's stupid son has destroyed the cage again? Kaido said as he walked towards where Yamato was imprisoned. Ling Tian sighed. When Ling Tian broke the cage, he saw a loli with white hair being handcuffed. Kaido, you are such a bastard, how dare you lock up such a cute little girl? When Ling Tian uncuffed Yamato's hands, he cursed Kaido in his heart. Forward. Yamato felt his handcuffs being opened, and when he opened his eyes, he saw a man wearing a pure white mask. Who are you? Loli Yamato asked in confusion. No, run away quickly, or you will be smashed into a meat pie. Loli Yamato suddenly thought of Kaido's cruel appearance and said to Ling Tian. What a kind child. Ling Tian listened to Yamato's words, touched her head and sighed. Forward. Yamato was a little uncomfortable being touched on the head for the first time, but he did not avoid Ling Tian's touch. This was the first time in her life that someone had been so gentle to her. Her old father Kaido only ever beat her and starved her. Boom! At this moment, a cloud of smoke suddenly rose outside the cage. Oh no, run away, quickly! When Yamato saw the smoke outside, he knew that Kaido had arrived and immediately asked Ling Tian to leave. It's fine. Ling Tian picked up lowly Yamato and said. I have to say that Yamato is really cute. I don't know how Kaido could bear to lock up such a cute loli. Yamato, you escaped again. Kaido spoke in the smoke. Although Kaido couldn't see the situation in the cage because of the smoke, he guessed that it was Yamato who went berserk and destroyed the cage. Kaido, come here. Ling Tian immediately became angry when he heard what Kaido said. No, this voice is not Yamato's voice, it seemed to be the voice of brother Ling Tian. Kaido walked out of the smoke while thinking this. Damn, it's really brother Ling Tian. When Kaido looked at Ling Tian holding Yamato, cold sweat immediately broke out on his forehead. Swish! Ling Tian appeared in front of Kaido in an instant and hit Kaido's head with a huge fist. Boom! 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 Soon, several big bumps appeared on Kaido's head. Bling bling! Seeing the bag on Kaido's head, Yamato in Ling Tian's arms immediately had stars in his eyes. Chapter 24 Kaido and number 039, S Apology. What's wrong? Bucky also came over after hearing the noise. Wow, brother Ling Tian. Who is this child? Is he your child? Bucky flew over and saw Yamato in Ling Tian's arms and spoke. Boom. What is it? This is Kaido's daughter. Ling Tian punched Bucky with a frown on his face. Alas, Kaido actually has such a lovely daughter. When Bucky heard Ling Tian's words, his body immediately fell into pieces. He really didn't expect that Kaido actually had such a lovely daughter. Yet, but Kaido actually locked up Yamato. Ling Tian glared at Kaido and said. Nanny. When Bucky heard Ling Tian say that Kaido actually locked up such a cute loli, he immediately became angry. Kaido, you have quite a lot of people. This is your daughter, and you locked her up. As he said this, Bucky mobilized the power of Gray's Sun to beat Kaido again. Goo! Just then Yamato's stomach growled. Brother, I'm hungry. Yamato pulled Ling Tian's clothes and said. Before Ling Tian could speak, Bucky pushed Ling Tian away and picked up Yamato. Come on, big brother will take you to find something to eat. Although Ling Tian was pushed away by Bucky, he didn't feel anything. Kaido, who was standing nearby, muttered as he watched this harmonious scene. Who told her not to be the general of the beast pirates? What did you say? When Ling Tian heard Kaido's muttering, he immediately looked at Kaido fiercely. Nothing, nothing. Kaido immediately became timid when he saw Ling Tian's expression. In this way, Ling Tian and Bucky took Yamato to wander around Wano country. As for Kaido, Ling Tian just let him stay wherever he wanted. 5 days later, Ling Tian found Kaido wearing a pure white mask. Brother Ling Tian, are you leaving? Kaido was a little bit unbelieving. He and brother Ling Tian had only met for 5 days and he was leaving like this. Brother, please don't leave. Isn't it good for you to stay here with Yamato? Yamato also pulled Ling Tian's clothes, tears welling up in his eyes. Yamato, be good, I'll come back to accompany you when big brother finishes his work, okay? Ling Tian touched Yamato's head and said. To be honest, he really had things to do. Judging from the time, Ace would be born soon, and many people on Battleisla Island would die because of Ace. Okay, big brother, please be careful. The innocent Yamato said to Ling Tian. Okay, I understand. Wait until big brother comes back to bring you a fiancé, okay? Ling Tian thought of the relationship between Ace and Yamato in the original work. Hey, brother Ling Tian, this isn't good. Yamato is my daughter after all. When Kaido heard Ling Tian say that he wanted to find a fiancé for Yamato, he immediately objected. Shut up Kaido, you know Yamato is your daughter. That father will lock up his daughter. Ling Tian scolded. That's right, that's right. Bucky also echoed. Yamato blinked and watched the conversation between Ling Tian and the others. Okay, I'll wait for my elder brother to bring me a fiancé. Although Yamato doesn't know what a fiancé is, he is happy to see Kaido being defeated. Take this, your fiancé will come to you with the other half of this. Ling Tian handed a white Tai Chi jade pendant to Yamato. Yamato said happily while holding the jade pendant. Yamato was happy, but Kaido was miserable. He squatted in a corner and drew a circle. Baki is in your hands, Kaido. Ling Tian said to Kaido who was drawing circles on the side. Oh, by the way, I heard that you have caused a lot of trouble for Newgate recently. Ling Tian looked at Kaido with a smile. Kaido's body stiffened when he heard Ling Tian's words. He knew that Newgate and Ling Tian had a good relationship. The reason why we went to attack Newgate before was because of Ling Tian. Well, forget about the past. Don't go attack Newgate again in the future. And remember to apologize to Newgate. Well then, Buggy, Yamato, and Kaido, we'll see each other again someday. After saying that, Ling Tian flew away. When Kaido heard Ling Tian asking him to apologize to Whitebeard, he thought for a while, then said something to Buggy and transformed into a beast form and flew towards Whitebeard's territory. A few days later, on board the Moby Dick. Dad, Kaido is spotted ahead. The crew member on lookout saw a dragon head flying towards the Moby Dick from a distance and spoke to Whitebeard. Gulala, does that little brat Kaido want to fight again? Whitebeard stood on the bow of the Moby Dick and laughed as he looked at the dragon appearing in the distance. Soon Kaido flew in front of the Moby Dick. Gulala, little Kaido, are you here to fight again? Tisk, old man with white beard, I'm not here to fight this time. Oh, what are you doing here? I'm here to apologize to you for what happened before. Kaido stammered and spoke a little embarrassedly. Nanny. Hey, did I hear you right? Kaido the beast actually apologized to us. The pirates on the Moby Dick were shocked. Gulala, Kaido, did you break your head? Whitebeard knew that Kaido would go free fall whenever he had nothing to do. Yet, you must be mistaken, we are the Whitebeard pirates. Marco also flew in the air. Stop talking nonsense. Do you think I am willing to apologize to an old man like you? If it weren't for brother Ling Tian, I wouldn't have apologized to you. Kaido was immediately furious when he saw that they heard him apologize to them and actually felt that there was something wrong with their brains. Gulala, it turns out to be Ling Tian, I was wondering why you apologized to us. When Newgate heard Kaido's words, he immediately understood. The relationship between Kaido and Ling Tian in the Rocks Pirates is not ordinary. Strictly speaking, Ling Tian should be considered Kaido's master. Humph, and I won't come to fight with you again. Brother Ling Tian has said that let's forget about the past. Okay, in that case, I will give Ling Tian a favor and forget about the past. But if you come again, Kaido, don't blame me for being rude. Whitebeard took a sip of the Mao Tai Ling Tian sent him and spoke. Tisk, I don't want to see you again in this life. Kaido said this and turned around and left. If Ling Tian was here, he would laugh and say that it is impossible for us to not meet in this life because your daughter's fiancé is the captain of the Whitebeard pirates. Ling Tian Shu. Ever since Ling Tian left Wano country, he has been flying to Bait Rila Island without stopping. Is Bait Rila Island in front of us? Ling Tian muttered as he looked at the island in front of him. Which one is it? Garp's warship. When Ling Tian saw Garp's warships on the coast, he also realized that Roger had left his wife Porgas de Rouge to Garp's protection as in the original work. Chapter 25 Shadow Core, Normal Update. P.S. Because of some things before, I stopped updating. I will make up for it later. I will update twice a day. Now I owe 10 chapters. When Ling Tian arrived at Batalila Island, Garp's observation Haki immediately sensed Ling Tian. Because he promised Roger that he would protect his wife Porgas de Rouge, Garp has been using his observation Haki these days to prevent the world government from sending people to kill Rouge. That mask, are you from the world government? When Ling Tian just arrived on the island, Garp teleported in front of Ling Tian. Fuck, Garp, are you that fast? Ling Tian complained when he saw Garp appear in front of him immediately. Is this the strongest old man in the world? Well, at least before Ling Tian traveled through time, Garp's setting was outrageous. Cut the nonsense. Without saying a word, Garp punched Ling Tian directly. Because the mask Ling Tian wore was pure white, Garp subconsciously thought that Ling Tian was from the CP organization under the world government. Fuck, Garp, you just started doing it without saying anything. Ling Tian simply wrapped Garp's hands with the cloak behind him and said speechlessly. Just because I'm wearing a pure white mask and a white cloak, Does that mean they are a perfect match? Okay. Ling Tian thought about it and felt that his outfit really looked like that of the CP group of guys. No, I can't blame myself for this. It's all because of those guys from CP. They are obviously an intelligence organization, but they always wear white clothes. My domineering spirit disappeared. No, not only my haki, but my taijutsu has also disappeared. Garp was surprised when he felt that the armament domineering and taijutsu covering his fist had disappeared. As far as he knew, he had never heard of the ability to absorb domineering aura. Although he thought so, the ocean is so vast that there are all kinds of wonders, so Garp quickly calmed down. Who are you? Garp looked at Ling Tian and realized that Ling Tian might not be a member of CP. Because CP members usually appear in groups of several people, if they are a spy CP, they would not wear CP exclusive clothes so openly. Of course I'm not a CP. Ling Tian took off the cloak that was wrapped around Garp's fist and spoke. Then what are you doing on Battleisle Island? I came here because of Roger's promise. Ling Tian made up a lie. Actually, it wasn't really a lie, after all, Roger had invited him to board Roger's ship. Although he refused at that time, he was still invited after all, so he was considered one-third of Roger's crew. What? Roger actually asked you for help, and you're telling me something? Garp picked his nose and said. Now, Garp was thinking about leaving all the CPS coming to Battleisle Island in the next few days to Ling Tian to deal with, and then he would stay by Liu Ju's side and keep an eye on them. Based on Garp's judgment of the attack he had just made on Ling Tian, Garp knew that Ling Tian was not a weakling either. So Garp decided to hand those guys over to Ling Tian to deal with. Since Roger asked you to protect Luju, then just stay here and watch over the suspicious people coming to Baterila Island. Garp said directly to Ling Tian. In fact, he had his own plans for doing this. Although Ling Tian himself said that he was asked by Roger to protect Liu Ju. However, Garp didn't believe Ling Tian in his heart, so it was better for him to stay with Liu Ju. That's the kind of thing. Ling Tian smiled when he heard what Garp said. Now he really wants to pretend to be smart and tell Garp, do you know the mask on my face? This is a divine weapon that can summon countless immortal ninja armies. Do you still need to take care of that group of CPS? Even with so many undead troops, they can be exhausted to death. That's it. When Garp heard Ling Tian's words, he immediately took a vigilant posture. Hey, don't get excited, old man Garp. Ling Tian explained to Garp immediately after seeing him strike that pose. Then what do you mean? Although he is a navy and a force under the name of the world government, Garp does not want the residents of Baterila Island to die because of Roger's wife. As a high-ranking naval officer, he understood the nature of the world government very well, but he could not just leave the navy now. If he, as a naval hero, leaves the navy, then the navy will be really finished. When the pirates riot, the world will be almost finished. As for the world government, they will definitely only protect the celestial dragons and not care about the lives of other civilians. Just watch. Ling Tian said, stretching his hands to both sides, muttering. Undead army hidden in the darkness, obey my call and wake up. P.S. I have to say that as a Chuyunibu, this sentence is just too cool. As soon as he finished speaking, round black shadows slid out from under Ling Tian and Garp's shadows, and then turned into people wearing black clothes and black pants. These are. Cap couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this. He didn't even feel these people. You have to know that he is now a top figure in the pirate world. This is my undead army. Ling Tian placed his right hand in front of his chest and half bowed. Ling Tian wanted to try out what a gentleman's character was like. In his previous life, he saw those gentlemen acting cool when fighting, and they were so cool. Of course, the most important reason is that he cannot reveal his identity in front of Garp, although he has only dealt with Garp a few times in this world. However, there was no guarantee that Garp would recognize him. In my previous life, I was born in a flower-growing family and I always kept my promises. After all, what the physical clone does has nothing to do with me, Ling Tian. Undead Legion. Tisk, I don't believe there is any immortal army in this world. Garp said with a look of disbelief. Then please give it a try, Mr. Garp. Ling Tian made way for Garp and told him to try it. You are very confident. Cap was also a little angry when he saw Ling Tian recognize a road. Boom. Garp killed most of the ninja troops with just one punch. The only difference between them and ordinary people is that when the ninja corps was killed by Garp, no corpses were left behind, but they turned into smoke and disappeared. Did I kill him? But what's with this black fog? Garp looked around in confusion. Mr. Garp, please don't be careless. Ling Tian chuckled and reminded Garp. When Garp heard Ling Tian's words and was about to respond, he discovered that the men in black had returned to their original form. Are these really the same men in black from before? Cap looked at the men in black around him and said solemnly. If he really is immortal, then that would be troublesome. Judging from the fact that Ling Tian was willing to agree to Roger's promise, it is very likely that Ling Tian is also a pirate. Can I do an experiment? Garp spoke to Ling Tian who was sitting next to him. Ling Tian didn't say anything but just nodded, indicating that he was welcome to do as he pleased. Garp saw Ling Tian walk up to a man in black and put a badge on him. Chapter 26 The Birth of Ace. Boom! When Garp put the badge on the Black Shadow Ninja, he killed the Black Shadow Ninja with one punch. Black Shadow Ninja, meow, I thought you were going to give me a badge. After Garp killed the Shadow Ninja, a black shadow emerged from Garp's shadow. What was different from the surrounding Shadow Ninjas was that this Shadow Ninja was wearing a badge on his chest. This badge is exactly the same one that Garp had before. He is actually immortal. Garp looked at the Black Shadow Ninja wearing the badge in disbelief. The idea of immortality is too shocking for this world. Garp knows that there are some people in this world who have strong recovery abilities. But immortality is still a little too incredible. Ling Tian thought to himself when he saw Garp's surprised expression. Actually, I am also immortal. After Garp's experiment, Ling Tian sent the Black Shadow Corps out to monitor various places on Bait Rila Island, and if anyone from the world government came, they would go up and kill them directly. When Ling Tian met Luju, she was already 12 months pregnant with Ace. Let's find someone to deliver Luju's baby. Ling Tian looked at Luju and said. In the original work, Luju died because she was pregnant with Ace for 13 months. If Ace was born in 12 months, would Luju not have died? Although the chance of this happening is not very high, what if? After hearing Ling Tian's words, Garp knew it was time to deliver Luju. The reason why Garp didn't deliver Luju's baby before was because he was worried that CP would come when Luju was delivering the baby. Now that he has Ling Tian's shadow army, Garp no longer has these concerns. Batarila Island. A world government warship is heading towards Bait Rila Island. Sir, we are almost reaching Bait Rila Island. One CP reported to another CP. Full speed ahead. Then CP gave the order directly. They came to Bait Rila Island because they had lived on Bait Rila Island for a period of time before being executed by Roger. The world government asked them to investigate whether there is any bloodline of Roger on Bait Rila Island. When the warship appeared in the waters of Batarila Island, the Black Shadow Corps discovered it. Immediately, the Black Shadow Army on Batarila Island merged directly into the shadows. Ling Tian's current ability can only summon 20 Black Shadow Ninjas, but since he is immortal, it doesn't matter. Just like that, the Black Shadow Ninja merged into the shadow and appeared directly on the CP's warship. Ah! X20. 20 screams came directly from the warship. What's wrong? What happened? The commander heard the voice and turned around and asked. It turned out that the CP on the warship was killed by a group of men in black, and only 2 CPS beside him were still alive. Who are you? The CP couldn't help but get angry when he saw the 20 CPS being killed. Most of their CPS were killed before they even reached Bait Rila Island. The Shadow Ninja did not answer the question from the CP officer, but directly threw darts at those CPS. Iron Block X3. When the dart landed on the CP using the iron block, a spark immediately flew out. Shave. A CP instantly appeared in the middle of the Shadow Army. Finger gun ban. The CP waved his hands and killed all 20 shadow soldiers with his finger gun. Bang X20. 20 members of the Black Shadow Army were directly hit by the gun and turned into puffs of smoke. What are these? The CP was puzzled when he saw the man in black who was hit by him turned into smoke. Ming, come back. When the CP commander saw the smoke, he had a bad feeling and immediately asked the CP codenamed Ming to come back. This is... Just when Ming was about to use shaving to get back to the officer CP, he found that his feet were caught by something. Ming looked down and found a man in black emerging from his shadow. Iron block. When Ming found something wrong, he directly used the iron block. When countless darts bounced directly off Ming's body. Missed foot. Ming directly used his kick to kill the man in black who grabbed his foot. Shave. Ming teleport back to the CP commander. These guys seem to only know how to use some darts. Then just kill them with a block of iron. The CP commander commanded. Iron block X2. When the shadow soldiers saw CP using iron blocks, each of them took out 6 darts and then directly covered the darts with armed color domineering. Because it was summoned by Ling Tian, it can use 50% of Ling Tian's abilities. However, since the darts of the Black Shadow Corps are all black, it is impossible to tell that they are covered with the armament haki. The shadow troop directly threw out the darts covered with armed color domineering. Get away quickly. The CP commander sensed something was wrong with the dart and jumped away, yelling at the 2 CPS who were casting the iron. Pfft. However, he was still too late, as the 120 darts hit the 2 CPS squarely. You should have said it earlier. An unwilling CP complained. When the Shadow Army saw that a CP had actually dodged their darts, they simply ignored him and merged into the shadows. Well, leaving. The CP commander was somewhat puzzled when he saw the Black Shadow Corps disappear. Is it because I'm alone that I don't care? Just as the CP commander was thinking this, the entire ship collapsed in an instant. Nanny. The CP officer immediately felt bad when he saw this situation. Although he didn't show it just now, he is a person with special abilities. Moon's Step. When Commander CP saw the Black Shadow Corps destroy the warship directly, he used the Moon Step to prevent himself from falling into the sea. However, Commander CP still underestimated the capabilities of the Shadow Corps. I saw a shadow soldier coming out from the shadow covered by the cloak behind the CP commander and directly grabbed the CP commander's limbs. Nanny. Because his limbs were grabbed, the CP commander was unable to use the 6 styles and fell directly into the sea. I can't move. The CP commander, actually died here. I am unwilling to accept this. The CP officer thought this before he lost consciousness. The Black Shadow Corps did not relax their vigilance just because Commander CP fell into the seabed. Instead, they went directly to the bottom of the sea and ended Commander CP's life before returning to Batarila Island. In this way, the CP who came to Batarila Island was directly sunk to the bottom of the sea by the Shadow Army. Lu Juku. During the Battle of the Shadow Corps, Lu Ju successfully gave birth to Ace. But seeing Lu Ju's dying appearance, Ling Tian knew that even a month in advance would not be enough to prevent Lu Ju's death. This child's name is Ace, Porgas Ace. This is the name that Roger and I came up with. Lu Ju finished saying Ace's name with her last breath. Chapter 27, O and number 039, Hara and number 039, S Destruction, Update 1. Ace. Ling Tian chuckled and touched the knife at his waist. Although Ling Tian already knew Ace's name, he was a little curious about why Roger named his child after his sword. Is that so? Garp couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the dead Lu Ju. When he saw Lu Ju carrying the baby for 12 months to protect Ace, he knew that there was a high probability that Lu Ju would die when Ace was born. He was entrusted by Roger to protect Lu Ju and Ace, but now he has breached the contract. Mr. Garp. What? Can you give me Lu Ju's body? Ling Tian said to Cap. He wanted Lu Ju's body for 2 reasons. One reason is that when he draws the resurrection item in the future, he can revive Lu Ju. Second, even if he couldn't draw the resurrection item, he should bury Lu Ju and Roger together. Nanny, you want Lu Ju's body? What do you want to do with Lu Ju's body? Carp frowned when he heard Ling Tian's words. For some reason, when he heard Ling Tian's words, he suddenly remembered the guy in Rogue Town. Roger and I are friends. No matter what, I will bury Lu Ju's body together with Roger's body. Ling Tian placed his right hand on his chest and bowed as he explained. Okay, but I need to know where you buried Lu Ju and Roger. I will go and take a look when the time comes. Garp promised Ling Tian to take Lu Ju's body away. But he must know where Roger and Lu Ju's bodies are buried. Well, on an island called Redaria in the New World. Ling Tian directly told Kapu where he was currently living. He was not afraid that Garp would cause trouble in Redaria at that time, after all, he was invincible in Redaria. Even if I came to Redaria, he would have to be slapped twice before he could leave. Okay, I can hand Lu Ju over to you, but I have to take Ace with me. Garp felt that it didn't matter even if he handed Lu Ju over to Ling Tian, after all, Lu Ju was already dead. However, Ace cannot be handed over to Ling Tian, as he plans to train Ace into a marine. If Ling Tian knew what Garp was thinking, he would immediately complain, "You are worthy of being the one to train the Pirate King's child into a navy." "No problem, Ace, you can take it away. This is my gift to Ace." Ling Tian handed a black jade pendant that looked like a megatama to Ace. After hearing Ling Tian's answer, Garp didn't say anything. Instead, he picked up Ace and walked straight outside. Ling Tian also recovered Liu Ju's body into the system space, where the body would not rot due to the passage of time. Roger's body was also placed into the system space by Ling Tian. 5 days later. In order to ensure that CP people would not come to Bait Lila Island again, Ling Tian stayed on Bait Lila Island for a full 5 days. As for Garp, he left directly after picking up Ace, and said to Ling Tian, "I'll leave the rest to you after sales service." When Ling Tian heard what Garp said, he wanted to chop him up. "What do you mean by please ask me to provide after sales service? I'm not a seller, and I'm not a marine under your command." But for the sake of the residents on Bait Rila Island, Ling Tian still stayed on Bait Rila Island for 5 days. "Well, I should leave too." Ling Tian glanced at Batarila Island and then flew directly towards the West Sea. This year there was not only the big event of Ace's birth, but also the destruction of O'Hara. As for why he didn't go to O'Hara first, it was because he had a better relationship with Roger, but had no relationship with O'Hara. So Ling Tian naturally puts Ace's affairs first. Another thing is that when Ace was born, he was protected by Garp, so he was not in any danger, but the scholars of O'Hara touched the 800 years of taboo. Therefore, the world government will kill all the residents of O'Hara no matter what means it uses. As for whether Nico Robin can escape the pursuit of the world government in the original work, that's because Nico Robin was protected by Aokiji, so Nico Robin was not captured by the world government before she met Luffy. However, there are so many scholars in O'Hara, and Ling Tian may not be able to protect them all by relying on his clone. After all, the natives of O'Hara would definitely not leave O'Hara with Ling Tian. In the original book, if the residents of O'Hara left O'Hara when they learned that their people were captured by the navy, then Robin would not be the only resident of O'Hara left. 3 days later. After 3 days of flying at full speed, Ling Tian finally arrived at O'Hara. But... boom! When Ling Tian arrived at O'Hara, O'Hara was already a sea of fire, and Ling Tian also saw a sea route made of ice on the sea. Ling Tian looked at Robin and thought for a while before deciding to leave 5 Black Shadow ninjas to protect Robin in secret. Although Aokiji protects Robin in the original work, he will become an admiral in the future and it is impossible for him to protect Robin all the time. It would be bad if Robin was killed before she met Luffy because of her time travel. After Ling Tian asked 5 Black Shadow ninjas to protect Robin, he glanced at O'Hara and decided to go and see if there were any survivors in O'Hara. On warship Vice Admiral Akainu, all of the O'Haras have been destroyed. Currently, no one has escaped from O'Hara. A marine reported to Akainu. He didn't know that Aokiji let Robin go. Yes, everyone goes to the island. No survivors should be left behind. Akainu waved his hand and said. Akainu, who upholds absolute justice, would never allow any survivors of O'Hara to survive. This shouldn't be necessary. There won't be any survivors on the island like this. The Marines were puzzled when they heard Akainu's order. O'Hara is now a sea of fire, so it is unlikely that there are any survivors. When Akainu heard what the Marine said, he killed the Marine with a lava fist without saying a word. If there are still survivors there, do you know how big of an impact it will have on the world? Go to the island immediately and confirm whether there are any survivors there at all costs. Akainu immediately gave the order. Yes. The 4 surrounding warships headed directly towards O'Hara. The demon-slaying order was carried out by 5 warships led by 5 vice-admirals. The other 3 warships were hawkish like Akainu. The warship that did not head towards O'Hara belonged to Aokiji Kyuzan. That guy Kyuzan. Akainu couldn't help but get angry when he saw that Aokiji's warship didn't come towards O'Hara. But he had no choice after all, Kyuzan was on the same level as him and he had no right to order Kyuzan around. Soon 4 warships arrived at O'Hara. The sailors who had just arrived at O'Hara immediately disembarked from the warship. Who are you? As soon as Akainu got off the warship, he saw a man wearing a white mask and a white cloak standing there. That mask, are you from CP? When Akainu looked at Ling Tian's mask, he immediately thought of the group of CPS under the world government. Chapter 28 Nicole Albia, Update 2. CP? No, I'm not a CP person. The masked man standing in front of Akainu spoke. This person is Ling Tian. Originally he just came to see if there were any survivors in O'Hara, but when he just flew to O'Hara, he found 4 warships coming towards O'Hara. So Ling Tian planned to drive them away first, otherwise there would be trouble later. If you are not a CP, then you are a pirate. When Akainu heard Ling Tian say that he was not a CP, he immediately designated Ling Tian as a pirate. Okay. It seems that Ling Tian is indeed a pirate. The dog bites the red lotus. Akainu used the ability of his magma fruit without saying a word. I saw a dog head formed by magma rushing towards Ling Tian. Young people are really irritable. Ling Tian saw Akainu and took action directly and chuckled. Then Ling Tian directly used the cloak behind him to wrap himself. Boom! Did it? Nonsense, Vice Admiral Akainu must have killed him. No. No, he's fine. A Marine looked at the smoke created by Akainu's dog bite red lotus and spoke. Ling Tian was seen standing there unharmed. This was because Ling Tian used the power of the cloak. This cloak could make all abilities ineffective. Impossible. Akainu looked at Ling Tian who was unharmed and couldn't believe it. Although he is not yet a Navy Admiral, his abilities are almost as good as those of an Admiral. He didn't expect that he couldn't even hurt the masked man in front of him. Is that all? Ling Tian smiled and snapped his fingers. Dark shadow ninjas emerged from the darkness around them. What is this? The Navy looked at these black shadow ninjas that suddenly appeared and said solemnly. Don't panic, kill them all. Akainu roared. The Navy men calmed down after hearing Akainu's voice. The fact that they were on this ship meant that they were not weaklings. So except for some panic at the beginning, it soon calmed down. Then invite them to play with you. Ling Tian waved his hand. Various monsters emerged from the shadows. A group of aliens with snake-like lower bodies and whip-like hands. The hunting pliers group with a hammer in the left hand and pliers in the right hand. The feet are nails, and the hands are huge claws with thorns. A group of night bats with huge legs and hands and wings on their backs. A group of obese, gigantic trolls. A group of warriors wearing armor and carrying swords at their waists. 4 legs, a tiny shadow-eating group. A praying mantis with 4 legs and sickles in both hands. These are other types of soldiers in the Ghost Shadow Corps, which were formed by Ling Tian integrating the abilities of other masks based on the pure white mask. In fact, he could also summon the 9 generals of the Ghost Shadow Corps now, but Ling Tian felt that the 9 generals were not needed to handle the situation here. What kind of monsters are these? Akainu looked at the monster that suddenly appeared and couldn't help but be surprised. His observation haki couldn't sense these monsters, which meant they appeared suddenly. And Akainu noticed that these monsters came out from the shadows. Then, ghost troops, drive them out of this island. Ling Tian gave the order. Soon, as the Ghost Corps demonstrated their various abilities, the Navy fell one by one at O'Hara's harbor. After a while, the only people left standing were 4 lieutenant generals including Akainu and 10 major generals. How about this, Lieutenant General? I will let you go as long as you leave O'Hara. Ling Tian laughed. In fact, he didn't want to let Akainu go, but with the current strength of the Phantom Corps, it was still difficult to keep Akainu. Although he still has 9 generals, even the 9 generals may not be able to stop Akainu, not to mention that there is a Aokiji watching in the distance. When the time comes, Aokiji will freeze the ghost army with one ice, and then we will have to do it ourselves. To be honest, if it wasn't necessary, he really didn't want to do it himself. Retreat. Akainu thought for a while and ordered. Although his justice is absolute, the current situation does not allow him to execute his justice. If Kuzan in the distance was willing to help him, he would definitely continue, but given Kuzan's character, he would not help himself. At least now Kuzan will definitely not help me. As for the reason, it was because he ordered a lifeboat to be blown up. At that time, Kuzan was still angrily asking what he was doing. Therefore, Kuzan will not come to help him now. At most, he can save himself from death after he is defeated. Smart choice. Ling Tian directly recalled the surrounding ghost troops and let the Navy leave. There were several hundred people when the Navy arrived, but now there are only 14 left. As for the rest of the Navy, some of them just fainted. Some were directly killed by the Ghost Corps, and some were more tragically had their shadows eaten by the Shadow-Devouring Corps, and they may become vegetables for the rest of their lives. Just like that, Ling Tian watched them take the Navy back to the warship and leave O'Hara. The little brother's ability is really terrifying. When Akainu left, a tall man came to Ling Tian on a bicycle. This person is Aokiji, one of the 5 vice admirals of the navy and the future admiral of the navy. Kyuzan. Yes, brother knows me. Of course, there should be few people on the sea who don't know a vice admiral. Ling Tian touched the mask on his face and said. He didn't know what Kyuzan was doing here. Logically speaking, since Akainu has left, Kyuzan should also leave. So, what are you doing here? As he spoke, Ling Tian summoned out the ghost troops again. Although Ling Tian knew that Aokiji was not here to fight him, he still ordered the Ghost Shadow Army to surround Aokiji. After all, you can't lose in temperament. Well, I just want to remind you that there should be a living person over there. Kyuzan said. Because of his identity, he cannot save the people who are still alive in O'Hara. Every time Nico Robin does this, it is because of his good friend Soro. I see. Ling Tian had already known through his observation haki that there was still a survivor in O'Hara. When fighting with Akainu, Ling Tian had already used spiritual techniques to simply maintain that person's life. In that case, then gonna. With that, Kyuzan rode away on his bicycle. Ling Tian watched Kyuzan's figure disappear on the sea level before going to check on the survivor of O'Hara. You are. Ling Tian was somewhat shocked when he saw the figure lying in a pool of blood. The figure lying in the pool of blood had white hair and was wearing a brown coat. What shocked Ling Tian the most was that she had a face similar to Robin in the future. You are Robin's mother. Nicole Albia. Ling Tian directly took out the shrinkable house in the system space and enlarged it on the ground, then directly carried Albia into the house. Serious injury. Ling Tian looked at Albia's wound and said solemnly. Although the injury was serious, Ling Tian still adhered to the principle of saving every life possible and planned to save her. Ling Tian simply cut his wrist and fed his blood to Albia. After drinking the fountain of life, his blood also has healing effects. If someone is lucky enough to drink the blood from Ling Tian's heart, he may even become immortal. That should be fine. After Ling Tian fed his blood to Albia, the injuries on Albia's body immediately recovered at a rate visible to the naked eye. Chapter 29, Sabayati Archipelago, Normal Update. Here it is. Albia woke up and saw herself lying on a bed in a wooden house. I'm not in O'Hara. Oh, I was killed at that time. Albia recalled that she had been ordered by the Navy to kill demons because of O'Hara's research on the blank 100 years. You're awake. Ling Tian came in with fish soup and some grilled fish. Although Ling Tian also wanted to get something else for Albia, because of the Navy's previous demon-killing order, O'Hara was completely turned into a scorched earth, and there was nothing else at all. Ling Tian deduced that within a month at most, O'Hara would sink completely to the bottom of the sea. You are? Are you from CP? Albia looked at Ling Tian, who was wearing a pure white mask, with caution. In the entire ocean, only CP would wear pure white masks. Other pirates would not wear such masks because they knew that the pure white mask was the symbol of CP. Ling Tian had just put down the fish soup and grilled fish when he heard Albia's words and was speechless. Although the mask I wear is pure white, there is no need for everyone to regard themselves as a CP. Do you think you would still be lying here intact if I were CP? Albia thought about it and felt that there was some truth in it. If the masked man in front of me is a member of CP, then I should be in jail. Thinking of this, Albia suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Okay, eat these. You have just recovered, so you should take good care of your body first. Although Ling Tian used his own blood to save Albia before, Albia's body was still a little weak. Wait a moment. Albia saw Ling Tian was about to leave and immediately shouted. Ling Tian stopped when he heard Albia's words. Ling Tian probably knew what Albia wanted to ask him, probably about O'Hara. How is O'Hara? Albia saw Ling Tian stop and asked his own questions. This is O'Hara. Ling Tian did not answer Albia's question but told Albia in a disguised way that this was O'Hara. Really? That's great. Albia was relieved when she heard Ling Tian say that this was O'Hara. Since the house here was not damaged, does that mean O'Hara is fine? You should go out and have a look yourself. Ling Tian left after saying this. Albia's heart, which had just been relieved, was immediately lifted up when she heard Ling Tian's words. Then he immediately ran out of the house without caring about his body. How come? When Albia went outside and saw the scorched earth on the ground, she couldn't believe it. Although she knew that the demon-slaying order was terrifying, she didn't expect it to be so terrifying that even O'Hara's tree of wisdom was burned to ashes. So, are there any survivors of O'Hara? Albia holds a glimmer of hope. Before she lost consciousness she learned there was a lifeboat somewhere else in O'Hara. She had her daughter, Nicole Robin, board a lifeboat and leave O'Hara. Yes, a little girl was rescued by Vice Admiral Kuzan. Ling Tian did not hide it from Albia and directly told Albia that Nicole Robin had left O'Hara. Little girl. What does that little girl look like? Albia asked Ling Tian cautiously. She hoped in her heart that the girl was Robin, and she hoped that Robin was alive and well. That girl looks similar to you, right? Robin, it's Robin. Great. Albia was relieved when she heard Ling Tian's words. If only Robin got away from O'Hara safely. The next day. Well, you want to leave O'Hara with me? Ling Tian asked. To be honest, Ling Tian didn't want Albia to disturb Robin's experience. He had told Albia about Robin's fate before. Ling Tian also told Albia that he had sent someone to protect Robin. Okay, I'll leave O'Hara with you, but I want to see Robin. Albia thought about what Ling Tian said last night and felt that Robin should grow up on his own. If she stayed by Robin's side without protecting him, it would definitely cause more trouble for Robin. Then, let's go. Ling Tian took out a sailboat from the system space and placed it on the sea. Your ability is so strange. Albia looked at Ling Tian and said curiously as he created a ship out of thin air. Although she knew that there were some devil fruit users with strange abilities in the sea, this was the first time she had seen the ability to create objects out of thin air. Ling Tian smiled and said nothing. Although he can fly, Albia cannot, and he no longer has the wind ring, so he can only sail. Soon Ling Tian and Albia arrived at the island that Kuzan showed Robin the way to. Robin. Albia looked at Robin hiding in the corner with some pity. Although Ling Tian told him about Robin's fate, as a mother, how could she really feel at ease with her child out there? Albia. Ling Tian stopped Albia who wanted to go out and meet Robin. Robin and Albia are both survivors of O'Hara. It would be fine if Robin was just a child. The world government will never pay too much attention to a child. But if the adult Albia appears in the world government will kill Robin and Albia at all costs. Feel sorry. Albia also thought about what might happen if she appeared in front of Robin, at least she had to wait until Robin grew up. Let's go. Ling Tian spoke after seeing Albia calm down. Albia did not speak but followed Ling Tian away silently. Ling Tian and his friends are now in the West Sea, while Redaria is in the New World. They have to go to the Sabayati archipelago first, and then go through Fishman Island before they can return to Redaria. Before, Ling Tian flew directly from Mary Gosa. Because of his attire, the people from the world government did not attack him. Half a month later, Ling Tian and Albia finally arrived at the Sabayati archipelago. Ling Tian and his cruise ship stopped at island number 13. Let's go meet an old friend. Ling Tian said while looking at island number 13 of the Sabayati archipelago. In the original book, Xiaqi Bar is located here. Soon Ling Tian brought Albia to the front of Xiaqi Bar. Ling Tian opened the door of the bar. When Ling Tian entered the bar, he found that there was no one inside, which was actually normal. Ling Tian walked to the front desk of the bar. Why is there no one here? Albia looked at the empty bar and wondered. Of course, most people don't dare to come here. A woman smoking a cigarette at the front desk explained to Albia. So, what would you two like to order? I'm here to find someone. I only have wine here, no one. Xiaqi spoke after hearing Ling Tian's words. Because the Sabayati archipelago is close to the Navy headquarters, the Navy often comes for routine inspections. It wouldn't matter if this was just an ordinary bar, but there was a troublesome man here. The person I'm looking for is Rayleigh, Silverbaz Rayleigh. Ling Tian didn't care about what Xiaqi said, he knew that Rayleigh must be here. I'm sorry, Rayleigh is out and I don't know when he will be back. Xiaqi didn't hide anything when she heard Ling Tian's words, and told Ling Tian directly that Rayleigh was not here. Chapter 30 Ling Tian and number 039, S identity. Really? Is that guy Rayleigh out? After hearing what Xiaqi said, Ling Tian could only sigh that he came at the wrong time. In the original work, Rayleigh is always wandering around. Although Rayleigh was the vice captain of Roger's pirate group before, Rayleigh is basically living a retired life now. Then, could you please help us coat our ship? After Ling Tian knew that Rayleigh was not in Xiaqi Bar, he also asked Xiaqi to help him coat his boat. Would you like me to help you with the coding? My price is very high. Xiaoqi chuckled when she heard that Ling Tian actually asked her to help him code his boat. A big reason why there are no people in Xiaoqi bar is because Xiaoqi charges too high a price, which is simply not affordable for ordinary people. Of course, the biggest reason might be that Ling Tian was wearing a mask and Xiaoqi couldn't recognize him, otherwise she would definitely know the relationship between Ling Tian and Rayleigh. Money is not a problem. Ling Tian took out a large bag of berries from the system space. This is the berry that Ling Tian got in the lottery. In addition to the gold that he had promised to give to Bucky, Ling Tian also left about 60 billion berry for himself in the system space. Now Ling Tian can say Mr. Ma's famous saying without blushing or beating his heart, I am not interested in money. Here is 1 million berries. I wonder if it's enough to coat our ship. 1 million berries. Albia was a little shocked when she heard Ling Tian's words. She really didn't expect Ling Tian to take out 100 million berries at random. Wait a minute, even if it's a coating of 100 million berries, it's still too much. Albia suddenly reacted. Although he had been in O'Hara before, Albia also knew that the cost of coating would definitely not be as expensive as 100 million berries. This little girl is right. The coating doesn't cost that much. Although Xiaoqi was somewhat shocked that Ling Tian could easily take out 100 million berries, she still told Ling Tian that coating would not cost so much money. Even if it's my own craft, it doesn't cost 100 million. It doesn't matter, the rest will be used to buy a bar for Rayleigh. Ling Tian waved his hand and said indifferently. 100 million is just a drop in the bucket for Ling Tian. After hearing Ling Tian's words, Xiaoqi also fell into deep thought. She was thinking about who Ling Tian was. She could imagine his relationship with Lei Li as he could give him so much money at once. Who are you? Xiaoqi couldn't help but ask about Ling Tian's identity out of curiosity. Not only Xiaoqi was curious, but Albia was also curious about Ling Tian's identity. Although Albia had been sailing with Ling Tian for half a month, Albia had not seen Ling Tian's true face. Do you want to see my true face? Ling Tian looked at the two people's curious expressions and smiled. Xiaoqi and Albia didn't say anything but nodded. When Ling Tian saw the two's actions, a powerful domineering aura enveloped the area around Xiaoqi bar. What are you doing? Xiaoqi felt the domineering aura around her and said in confusion. Xiaoqi could feel that this domineering aura deliberately avoided herself and Albia. Don't you want to know who I am? Ling Tian took off the pure white mask on his face. The reason why Ling Tian used Conqueror's Haki was to prevent others from seeing him. You are. Xiaoqi was a little shocked when she saw Ling Tian's face. The speed sword demon, Dr. D. Ling Tian, is a wanted pirate by the Navy. His bounty in this ocean is second only to that of the late pirate king Goel D. Roger. Although Xiaoqi was shocked by Ling Tian's identity, she also knew the relationship between Ling Tian and Lei Li, so she was not very scared. Speed sword ghost, Dr. D. Ling Tian. Albia was also shocked when she saw Ling Tian's face. Although he had always been in the West Sea before, Albia still knew Ling Tian's name. Chapter 31, Silverbaz Rayleigh, Normal Update. P.S. Because the author went to an interview today, I will update one chapter first, and the rest will be updated tomorrow. After Ling Tian handed his ship to Xiaoqi, he wandered around the Sabayati archipelago by himself. Albia watched Xiaoqi performance in Xiaoqi bar by herself. Here it is. Ling Tian unknowingly walked to the front of an auction house. Ling Tian thought about it and decided to go see what good things the auction house had since he had nothing to do. And if Ling Tian is not mistaken, this auction house belongs to Doflamingo, so there should be some good stuff there. Hello, if you want to participate in the auction, please pay 1,000 berries. An auctioneer said to Ling Tian. This is the rule of Doflamingo's auction house. Anyone who wants to participate in the auction must pay 1,000 berries. Ling Tian heard what the staff member said and dropped 1,000 berries without saying anything. Okay, the latest auction will be tonight, please attend on time. If the time is up, you won't be able to return to berry. The staff member explained to Ling Tian considerately. He was not afraid of the consequences if they did not return the money to berry, because he knew who was the boss behind the auction house. He was one of the 7 warlords of the sea, the clown of the underworld, Don Quixote Doflamingo, and most people wouldn't care about these 1,000 berries. After hearing what the staff member said, Ling Tian left the auction house and wandered around elsewhere without saying anything. Soon it was evening. Good evening everyone. Welcome to the human auction. The auction host spoke on the stage. Ling Tian naturally sat in a corner of the auction. Then, let's start with the first auction item of today. The host removed the cloth from the table. The first auction item is the devil fruit. According to the devil fruit encyclopedia, this devil fruit is the para-human armor fruit. The host explained the information of this devil fruit to the people below. This fruit was collected by one of Doflamingo's men. The devil fruit encyclopedia only records the name of this devil fruit and nothing else. So they put it up for auction. After all, no one knew what the power of this devil fruit was. If it was a powerful devil fruit, it would be fine, but if it was a useless devil fruit, it would be tragic. Then, the starting price of this devil fruit is 8,000 million berries, and each bid must not be less than 300 million berries. The host announced the starting price and bid increments. 8,300 million berries. Someone will make an offer soon. 9,000 million berries. 9,300 million berries. The price of a devil fruit is generally around 1 million berries, and devil fruits at such a low price are rare. So many people auctioned this devil fruit with the idea of getting a bargain. 1 billion berries. Soon the price of this devil fruit reached 1 million berries. Okay, 1 million berries. Is there anyone else bidding? If no one bids, this devil fruit will belong to this gentleman. The host saw that the price had reached 1 million berries and no one raised the price. But even if the host said this, no one continued to bid. The price of a devil fruit is basically around 1 million berries. If it was a powerful devil fruit, it would be fine, but this is a devil fruit whose function is unknown. So after the price reached 1 million berries, no one continued to raise the price. Then, this devil fruit belongs to this gentleman. When the host saw that no one was raising the price, he made the final decision. The host also knows that most people who come here have seen the devil fruit encyclopedia, so they probably know the price of this devil fruit. The auction house soon auctioned off the fifth lot. When the fifth lot started, the staff pushed a black cloth that was about 2 meters long. Next is our fifth lot. The fifth lot is an old man. The host lifted the black cloth, revealing an old man trapped in a cage. When the black cloth was lifted, Ling Tian, who was sitting in the corner, twitched his lips. Because the old man in the cage turned out to be Rayleigh. Although Ling Tian knew that in the original book, Rayleigh had no money to buy wine, so he sold himself to the auction house and robbed the money from the person who auctioned him. But Ling Tian really didn't expect that Rayleigh would do such a thing so early. Soon Rayleigh was auctioned off by a young man. After the auction, Ling Tian secretly followed the young man who auctioned Rayleigh. After leaving the auction site for a distance, Ling Tian clearly felt a slight domineering aura. Ling Tian knew that Rayleigh had taken action against his buyer. That's all Barry is, he's so poor. After Rayleigh knocked out the buyer he bought with his conqueror's haki, he began to search the man's berry. In the end, Rayleigh found nearly 2 berries on this man. Because most of this person's berries were spent on the auction of Rayleigh, so he doesn't have much berries left. Rayleigh looked at berry in his hand and wondered whether he should rob the auction house as well next time. I can't find it. How can the Pirate King's deputy, Pluto Rayleigh, do such a thing? Ling Tian couldn't help but see Rayleigh's actions in secret. You said that as the Pirate King's deputy, you shouldn't be like this even if you were just doing some work. I didn't expect that someone would know me. Rayleigh didn't feel any surprise when he looked at Ling Tian. When he left the auction house, he felt that someone was following this young man. Rayleigh didn't expect that this guy would come towards him. That mask, are you from CP? When Rayleigh saw Ling Tian's outfit, he also thought of the CP organization of the world government. Ling Tian didn't feel anything when he heard Raylaigh's words. After all, he was no longer surprised by being considered a couple after so many times. No, I'm not one of those CP guys. Although Ling Tian is used to people seeing him as a member of the CP organization, he still wants to prove it. Then who are you? Rayleigh was also a skilled and courageous person, he was not afraid of Ling Tian at all, he just picked up the wine from his waist and started drinking. After all, although I have entered retirement, my abilities are still there. You should know who I am now. Ling Tian did not take off the mask, but took out the lightning placed in the system space and showed it to Rayleigh. After all, this is the Sabayati archipelago, and there is no guarantee that there are naval personnel observing in secret. Ling Tian is now just a physical clone, and his observation haki has not yet reached the top level, so it is better to be safe. That sword, you are Ling Tian boy. When Ling Tian took out lightning, Rayleigh immediately recognized the identities of lightning and Ling Tian. Chapter 32. Garp arrives, normal update. Why are you wearing a mask? Although Rayleigh recognized Ling Tian, he still didn't understand why Ling Tian wore a mask. Because Rayleigh did not go to Rogue Town to watch Roger's execution, he did not know about the agreement between Ling Tian and Zhang Guo. Well, let's talk about this later. Ling Tian did not tell Rayleigh the reason here. Ling Tian was afraid that Rayleigh would follow him to Redaria if he knew that Roger's body was taken away by him. Although it doesn't matter, Rayleigh was once the deputy of Pirate King Roger. Perhaps not many people knew Rayleigh in the first half of the Grand Line, but many people knew Rayleigh in the second half of the Grand Line. Once someone discovers that Rayleigh is operating in the New World, it will definitely attract the attention of the Navy. By the way, Rayleigh, how come you've become like this after retirement? I don't have money to buy wine, let's get some money to buy some wine. Rayleigh scratched his head embarrassedly. After all, as the Pirate King's deputy, Rayleigh would feel a little embarrassed to be seen doing such a thing by people he knows. It would be okay if it was a junior, but Rayleigh still felt a little embarrassed in front of his peers. Well, never mind. I gave 1 million to Bulashaki. It's better for you not to do this kind of thing in the future. Ling Tian noticed Rayleigh's embarrassment and told him that he had given Xiaoqi 1 million berries. Rayleigh didn't do anything after hearing Ling Tian's words. After all, after giving berry to Xiaoqi, perhaps only 1/1000th of it went into his pocket. If Xiaoqi was willing to give berry alcohol, Rayleigh would not have used this method to get berry to drink. I heard from Buggy that you were planning to give all your treasure to Buggy. Rayleigh suddenly remembered that when Buggy came to the Sabayati archipelago, he told him that Ling Tian promised to give him a considerable treasure. Yes, that's right. When I was in Rogue Town, I promised Buggy to give him a treasure. Ling Tian did not hide anything and directly told Rayleigh what he had promised Buggy. And one more thing. Just when Rayleigh heard Ling Tian admit that he had promised Buggy the property, Rayleigh suddenly became serious. When Ling Tian saw that Rayleigh had become serious, he also stopped smiling. When Shanks came to the Sabayati archipelago, he told me that you had snatched Roger's body from the Navy. Rayleigh stared at Ling Tian seriously, as if he was going to attack him if they disagreed. If possible, Rayleigh also wanted to see Roger for the last time, even if it was just to say a few words in front of Roger's grave. Yes, I did take Roger's body away from the Navy. That's why I'm wearing a mask now. I promised Zhang Guo that I won't appear on the sea for 10 years. Ling Tian did not hide anything and directly told Rayleigh that he had snatched Roger's body from the Navy. And told Rayleigh about the agreement between himself and Sengoku. So where is Roger's body? Rayleigh's excited and huge domineering aura instantly covered the entire island number 1, and everyone on island number 1 fainted instantly. This is... A sailor wearing a dog head mask who was walking on island number 1 was a little surprised by the domineering aura. Immediately, he ran towards the place where the domineering aura burst out at almost instantaneous speed. Calm down, Rayleigh. Ling Tian didn't expect that Rayleigh would be so excited when he heard the news about Roger. Boom! Before Ling Tian could react, a pitch-black fist knocked Rayleigh away. Kapu! When Ling Tian saw the Navy man wearing a dog head mask, he recognized Garp's identity at a glance. Well, I remember you were Roger's subordinate. After Garp knocked Rayleigh away, he heard someone calling his name. He turned around and saw a familiar figure. This was Ling Tian, who had met Cap several times on Battle Island. No, it should be said that they had met several times through the same mask. Boy, why are you here? Seeing Ling Tian here, Garp was a little curious and said, logically speaking, the pirates from the New World would not return to the first half of the Grand Line unless under special circumstances. Hey, long time no see, Mr. Garp. Ling Tian showed a gentlemanly courtesy to Garp. Garp, you're really heavy-handed. At this time, Rayleigh also climbed up from the ground. Rayleigh and Garp are both top powers in this world, so Garp's attack on him was not too serious. You are? Rayleigh. Garp was surprised to see that the person he had just knocked away was actually Roger's deputy Rayleigh. He really didn't expect that Rayleigh was hiding in the Sabayati archipelago, which is closest to the Navy headquarters. Long time no see, Garp. Rayleigh also said hello to Garp. Yeah, we haven't seen each other since Roger disbanded the pirate group. When Garp heard Rayleigh's words, he was reminded of the days when he chased Roger all over the sea. When Roger suddenly came to him to surrender, Garp was really shocked. Yeah, it's been so long without me noticing. Rayleigh also sighed. When he was in the Sabayati archipelago, he often thought of the days of sailing with Roger, although he went to sea because Roger burned down his house. But after sailing with Roger for so long, Rayleigh had already forgiven Roger. By the way, Rayleigh, what are you doing here? Are you planning something? Carp looked at the person lying at Ling Tian's feet and said seriously. Ling Tian glanced at the young man who fainted at his feet and was speechless. This is all Rayleigh's fault. It has nothing to do with me. Ling Tian immediately drew a line between himself and Rayleigh. He didn't want to fight with this guy Garp. Rayleigh felt a little embarrassed when he heard Ling Tian's words. After all, he was the one who knocked this person unconscious. That. Rayleigh felt a little embarrassed. After all, he didn't have money to drink, so he was a little embarrassed to rob an ordinary person. After all, I still have some reputation in this ocean, and it would be a bit bad if this kind of thing were to get out. Let me tell you. Ling Tian found it funny to see Rayleigh looking a little embarrassed. He immediately planned to tell Garp about Rayleigh's dark history. When Rayleigh heard Ling Tian's words, he had the urge to strangle Ling Tian to death. Of course, this was just a thought. Rayleigh, who had seen Ling Tian suppress Roger and Newgate alone, didn't think he could stop Ling Tian from revealing his dark history alone. Then Rayleigh could only stand there and watch Ling Tian and Garp talk about how he sold himself to the auction house. No matter how hard you try to confuse your buyer, you can still search for his berry. Chapter 33, Stingy Xiaoqi, Normal Update. Ha 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 ha, Rayleigh, I never thought you would be doing so badly after retirement. After hearing what Ling Tian said to him, Carp also laughed at Rayleigh. He really didn't expect that the deputy of the Pirate King, Pluto Rayleigh, would have to sell himself to get berry. Rayleigh didn't care after hearing what Garp said, since it was already so embarrassing. By the way, kid. Just after Garp finished mocking Rayleigh's behavior, he said to Ling Tian. I heard from that kid Sakaski that you stopped them from landing on the island in O'Hara. When Sakaski returned to the Navy headquarters, he was in a state of embarrassment. There were thousands of Navy personnel on the 5 warships, but when they returned, only 5 lieutenant generals including Sakaski and 10 major generals were left. Some of the other sailors were seriously injured, and some fell into a coma and became vegetables. What Sakaski told them was a man wearing a pure white mask, who would also summon some black monsters. When Garp heard Sakaski's words, he immediately thought of Ling Tian whom he met on Batarila Island, but Garp did not tell Zhang Guo about Ling Tian at that time. One reason is that Garp was not sure whether this person was Ling Tian, because Sakaski was talking about a black monster, while Ling Tian summoned a group of men in black. Second, what he promised Roger was not in line with his identity as a naval hero. If the Navy knew that he was protecting Roger's child, then the world government would definitely find a way to get rid of him. Even if they couldn't get rid of Garp, they would not let Garp be a vice admiral of the Navy anymore. Yes, it was me who stopped them from entering O'Hara. Ling Tian directly admitted that he was the one who did what happened to O'Hara. Ling Tian was not afraid at all that Garp would attack him, because with Garp's sense of justice he would never allow such a thing to happen. Unfortunately, he was a Navy and could not disobey the orders of the world government. So when the world government ordered the bombardment of O'Hara with the demon-killing order, Garp had no way to do anything. I don't care about the rest, but you should tell me how to wake up those who have lost their shadows and are in a coma. Cap didn't want to get involved in O'Hara's affairs, but he had to take care of those unconscious sailors. After all, he is a vice admiral, and he has to save those sailors no matter what. I'm sorry, Mr. Garp, even I don't know how to wake them up. Ling Tian did not want those marines to wake up. Waking them up would mean that he would return the shadows that the shadow-devouring group had swallowed. If he wants to return those shadows, Ling Tian needs to kill General Mingta, the general of the shadow-devouring group, but he is unwilling to do that. All right. Garp didn't say anything. Many people with special abilities cannot unlock their own abilities, and Garp thought that Ling Tian's ability was the same. Garp felt that if he could save those sailors, he should do so. If he really couldn't, he had done his best. Okay. That's right, asking Ling Tian means I've done my best. Just like that, Cap and Ling Tian chatted for a few words and then left. Ling Tian and Lei Li returned to Xiaoqi bar. Xiaoqi, I heard that Ling Tian gave you 1 million. As soon as Rayleigh returned to the bar, he said to Xiaoqi. Although Rayleigh knew that Xiaoqi might not give him money, he still had to give it a try. What if Xiaoqi really gave him money? Then this is for you. Xiaoqi took out a bag of berries and threw it to Rayleigh. Although she didn't give money to Rayleigh usually, that was because Xiaoqi didn't want Rayleigh to go out drinking all the time. Yet, Xiaoqi felt that this was why she didn't give Rayleigh money. This time, the money was given by Ling Tian to Lei Li for drinking, so it was not easy for Xiaoqi to take it all. Rayleigh didn't expect Xiaoqi to actually give him some berry. Rayleigh immediately opened the bag of berry that Xiaoqi had given him. That's it. Rayleigh was speechless when he saw the bag of berry. There were only a few berries in the bag. Ling Tian looked at the bag in Rayleigh's hand and roughly counted it. There were only about 1,000 berries. My goodness! Ling Tian was speechless when he saw the bag in Rayleigh's hand. He had given 1 million berries, and even if the berries for the coating were deducted, there would still be about million berries. In the end, Xiaoqi only gave Rayleigh this. Not only Ling Tian, but even Albia on the side was speechless, but since this was someone else's family affair, Albia couldn't say much. What's more, these berries were given to Xiaoqi by Ling Tian, so she had no right to speak. So, how's that going with Roger the kid? Rayleigh took the berry that Xiaoqi had given him and said to Ling Tian. At that time, because of Garp's presence, Rayleigh didn't feel comfortable asking Ling Tian about Roger. Now that everyone in the bar is his own people, Rayleigh asked about Roger's questions. Do you want to go and see Roger's grave with brother Ling Tian? Xiaoqi also knew what Rayleigh was thinking. After all, he was Rayleigh's captain, so it was no surprise that he had such thoughts. Only Albia on the side did not speak, but watched the communication between Ling Tian and Lei Li silently. Do you want to see Roger's body? Ling Tian looked at Rayleigh and said. Now Roger's body is in his own system space. Since the ability of the physical clone is the same as that of the original body, Ling Tian's physical clone can also take Roger's body out of the system space. If Rayleigh wants to see it, Ling Tian can also take out Roger's body from the system space. Because Roger's body is in Ling Tian's system space, it will not decay with the passage of time. Yes, I want to see the captain once. Rayleigh took a sip of wine and said. Even Rayleigh himself did not realize that he called Roger captain this time. Rayleigh usually called Roger by his name directly. And this time Rayleigh actually called him Captain Roger. All right. After hearing what Rayleigh said, Ling Tian also agreed to let Rayleigh see Roger's body. Xiaoqi, is there a bigger place in the bar? Ling Tian said to Xiaoqi. Before taking out Roger's body, Ling Tian took out the storage chamber that could preserve the body intact that he had won in the lottery shop. There is a larger place on the second floor of the bar. The second floor is not open to the public. It is where Xiaoqi stores the collected intelligence. Because some old information has been disposed of, the space on the second floor is still quite large. Why are you looking for an open space? Rayleigh was puzzled. Didn't you agree to take me to Redaria to see the captain's body? Ling Tian did not explain, but motioned Lei Li to follow him up. After going up to the second floor, Ling Tian discovered that the space on the second floor was much larger, and only some intelligence materials were placed on the surrounding bookshelves. I didn't expect Sister Xiaoqi to have so much information. Ling Tian looked at the second floor which was filled with information and spoke. Chapter 34 Roger and Number 039, S Corpse, Normal Update. Haha, isn't it normal to have more information about so many things on the sea? What's more, the Sabayati archipelago is the only way to enter the new world. Xiaoqi explained to Ling Tian. She sometimes works as an intelligence trader here. Ling Tian heard Xiaoqi words and thought that it was right. The Sabayati archipelago is the dividing point between the first and second halves of the Grand Line, so there are quite a lot of intelligence requirements for the new world. Ling Tian didn't say anything to Xiaoqi, but took out the storage chamber in the system space. What's this? Lei Li saw Ling Tian take out something he had never seen before and asked curiously. Ling Tian did not answer Rayleigh's words, but opened the hatch of the storage chamber. Then Ling Tian took out Roger's body from the system space and put it into the storage chamber. Captain! Rayleigh was somewhat excited when he saw Ling Tian conjure up Roger's body out of thin air. Why put Roger's body here? Xiaoqi was puzzled when she saw Ling Tian put Roger's body into the storage chamber. Rayleigh and Albia didn't understand what Ling Tian was going to do. This thing can prevent Roger's body from decaying. Ling Tian looked at Xiaoqi and the others and explained. What's the point of preserving the immortality of a corpse? Yes. Although Ling Tian explained to them the function of the storage chamber, they still didn't understand what the point of doing so was. Rayleigh on the side was also looking at Roger's body and waiting for Ling Tian's reply. Rayleigh also wanted to know what was the meaning of Ling Tian's doing this. Do you believe in the resurrection? Ling Tian did not answer their question directly, but asked them this question with a smile. You mean you have the ability to resurrect Roger? When Rayleigh heard Ling Tian's words, he grabbed Ling Tian's shoulders and said excitedly. If it is possible to revive Roger, Rayleigh will do it no matter what the cost, although they are not the chosen pirate group. But Rayleigh still didn't want Roger to die like this. Maybe in the future, I can't do it now. Ling Tian didn't care that Rayleigh grabbed his shoulders. Ling Tian understood Rayleigh's feelings. However, Ling Tian still told Rayleigh that he did not have the ability to resurrect now. If he wanted to resurrect Roger, Ling Tian must draw an item that can be used for resurrection in the system's lottery store. Moreover, Ling Tian now has to preserve Roger's body to prevent it from decaying, as many conditions for resurrection require the body to be intact. Is that so? Rayleigh calmed down after hearing Ling Tian's words. Although he wanted to resurrect Roger very much, he knew that resurrection was impossible just by hearing about it. However, Rayleigh still had some hope that Roger could be resurrected. Although I don't have the ability to revive Roger yet, I can let you talk to Roger. Ling Tian suddenly changed his tone and said. There is also a talisman called Yin Yang Communication Talisman in his system space. This is a talisman that can communicate with the dead, but it only lasts for 3 hours. Really? Do you have this ability? Rayleigh and Xiaoqi were a little surprised to hear Ling Tian's words. Xiaoqi had heard of resurrection before. But even she had never heard of anyone being able to communicate with the dead. If I can talk to the dead, can I talk to Dr. Kabar? After hearing Ling Tian's words, Albia also wanted to talk to Dr. Kabar of O'Hara. If possible, he wanted to record the doctor's knowledge. After all, Dr. Kabar had all the knowledge O'Hara had gathered. I'm sorry, Albia, I can only allow the deceased whose bodies are intact to talk to real people. Ling Tian also told Albia about the disadvantages of the talisman paper. Albia was also a little disappointed when she heard Ling Tian's words. O'Hara might have sunk to the bottom of the sea now. How could she possibly find a complete body? Well, let's get started. After Ling Tian explained the function of the talisman paper to Rayleigh and the others, he pasted the talisman paper on the hatch of the storage warehouse. Yes. The talisman does not need to come into direct contact with the corpse, but will automatically detect intact corpses nearby. When Ling Tian pasted the talisman paper on the hatch of the storage warehouse, a green smoke came out of the storage warehouse. Then the green smoke slowly condensed into a transparent human figure that looked like the corpse in the storage chamber. Where is this place? The transparent figure spoke. Are you, Rayleigh? Are you dead too? Roger saw Rayleigh suddenly speak up. Rayleigh was so excited when he first saw Roger, but he became speechless when he heard what Roger said. After not seeing Roger for such a long time, he was struck by lightning. Hey, long time no see Roger. Ling Tian saw Rayleigh speechless and spoke first. Ling Tian didn't expect Roger's first sentence to be so shocking. Who are you? Roger was puzzled when he saw Ling Tian greet him. Brother, who are you? Do we know each other? When Ling Tian heard Roger's words, he realized that he was still wearing a mask. It's me, it's me. Ling Tian took off the mask on his face, revealing his handsome face. Ha 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 ha, it turns out to be Ling Tian kid. Why are you wearing a mask? Roger saw Ling Tian's face and smiled. He thought Ling Tian was a member of CP. How would Rayleigh join the world government and resurrect himself? If Rayleigh knew Roger was thinking this, he would probably fight with him right away. I've been with you for so long and you actually doubt me. So I just resurrected. Roger spoke as he looked around and saw that it didn't look like hell. No, it just brings your consciousness back to the real world. Ling Tian also explained the current situation to Roger. After hearing Ling Tian's explanation, Roger also understood. Roger couldn't help but sigh that Ling Tian's ability was truly magical. Next, Ling Tian and the others handed the time over to Roger and Rayleigh, and they went down to the first floor. Next, Rayleigh talked to Roger about the changes in the sea, and told Roger that Shanks is now called the Emperor of the Sea by the people of the sea, along with Whitebeard and others. Roger also felt that the little kid from before has now become a famous figure. Where's Bucky? Roger couldn't help but ask as he remembered the red-nosed kid who was with Shanks. That guy Bucky got a large sum of treasure from Ling Tian, but I don't know where it is now. Really? Bucky is pretty lucky. Roger knew that Buggy loved treasure. When they were on Sky Island, Buggy wanted to take away all the gold on Sky Island. But Roger stopped Buggy at that time and told Buggy to wait until he had his own pirate group and let him get it himself. In this way, Rayleigh and Roger chatted on the second floor for a full 3 hours, and Rayleigh also told Roger that they had a way to resurrect him. But Roger refused because he felt that he was already dead and there was no need to resurrect. But when Ling Tian asked him if he didn't want to see his child, Roger agreed to be resurrected in the future. Chapter 35 Return to Redaria, Normal Update. On the third day, Ling Tian and his crew finally finished plating their ship. Then we set off. Ling Tian stood on the boat and said to Rayleigh and Xiaoqi below. Rayleigh also smiled and took a sip of wine. The night before yesterday, Rayleigh and Roger talked about a lot of things, which was enough for Rayleigh. Set off. Ling Tian drove the boat directly to the bottom of the sea. Since Ling Tian only needed to use the seabed to pass through Mary Gosa, he did not need to land on Fishman Island. Soon Ling Tian and his crew arrived at a place about 5,000 meters below the sea, from where the ship could probably pass directly through Marijoa on the seabed. Ling Tian, look, that is. Albia was a little scared when she saw the Sea Kings around her. Sea Kings only appear in the calm belt of the Grand Line. Although there are some Sea Kings in the Four Seas, they are a minority after all. Unlike the Grand Line, there are so many Sea Kings. When Albia went on an archaeological expedition at sea in O'Hara, she only explored the first half of the Grand Line, not the second half. That's a Sea King. Ling Tian looked at the Sea Kings swimming around on the seafloor and laughed. Such scenery can only be found in the world of One Piece and cannot be seen in other worlds. Generally speaking, Sea Kings will not actively attack ships unless the ship is moving forward on the seabed with lights on. Ling Tian's ship also had its lights on, but when Ling Tian was at the bottom of the sea, he used his conqueror's haki, so there was no Sea King to attack him. Soon Ling Tian and his crew sailed out of the seabed and arrived at the second half of the Grand Line. After sailing for half a month, Ling Tian and Albia finally arrived in Redaria. Hey, is that you? Albia said in surprise as she looked at Ling Tian's real body sitting on the shore of Redaria. Ling Tian's clone nodded, and then told Albia that he was actually just a physical clone. Albia was also a little surprised when she heard what Ling Tian's clone said. Ling Tian waited until the ship reached Redaria and retrieved his physical clone, then brought Albia to his cabin. Stay here for now, I have some things to take care of. Ling Tian gave Albia some instructions and left. Albia didn't say anything, just sat down in the room and took out some notebooks and pens she had bought before and started writing. She wanted to pass on O'Hara's knowledge, as now there were only herself and Robin left in O'Hara. Therefore, the responsibility of passing on O'Hara's knowledge lies with us. After Ling Tian left the wooden house, he came to the beach again. When Ling Tian was retracting his physical clone, he discovered that another ship was heading towards Redaria. Because Ling Tian felt that the ship was still some distance away from Redaria, Ling Tian planned to make arrangements for Albia. Soon, a dog-headed warship appeared in the waters of Redaria. Isn't this Garp's warship? Ling Tian muttered when he saw the dog-head warship. Soon Garp's warship arrived in Redaria. Ling Tian, why are you here? Garp got off the warship and said puzzledly. He came to Redaria because the masked man on Bait Rila Island told him that he buried Luju's body in Redaria. That's why Garp came to Redaria. Garp didn't expect Ling Tian to be here too. Garp knew that Ling Tian had promised Zhang Guo that he would not appear on the sea within 10 years. I'm a hermit here. Ling Tian did not hide anything and directly told Garp that he was living in seclusion here. Good boy, since you are here, let's have a fight. When Garp saw Ling Tian here, he wanted to compete with Ling Tian. When Garp lost to Ling Tian in Rogue Town, Garp has been training hard since then. Ha, you wanna fight me? Ling Tian pointed at himself and said curiously. That's right. Cap waved his fist. Ling Tian was also speechless when he saw Garp's look. You are asking for trouble by picking a fight with me in Redaria. After all, Ling Tian was invincible when he was in Redaria. Not to mention Garp alone, even if all the Navy members came, they would have to take a few big beatings. Cut the nonsense. Garp directly threw an armed fist at Ling Tian. Seeing this, Ling Tian dodged Garp's attack with a teleportation. I say, old man Garp, do you really want to fight me? Although Ling Tian knew that he was invincible, he still kindly reminded Garp. Armament 6 Steps Secret 6 King's Spear. Garp directly proved his determination with his actions. No sword style, one style without sword, one day full blade. When Ling Tian saw what Garp was doing, he immediately used his own moves. The collision between the Six Kings Spear and the one day full blade created a huge airflow, and the entire Reteria shook. I wipe. Ling Tian immediately became nervous when he felt Reteria's vibration, then he put away his own moves and used armed color to resist. Ling Tian took on Garp's Six Kings Spear head-on and flew backwards into the sea. Garp found it a little strange to see Ling Tian suddenly retract his attack, but he didn't think too much and jumped into the sea directly. If Ling Tian is a person with special abilities, Garp plans to rescue him. If not, Garp will continue to beat Ling Tian. Fuck, he actually chased me down. Ling Tian got angry when he saw Garp jump into the sea. The reason why he withdrew his ability on Reteria Island was because the collision between him and Garp was too intense. If he was not careful, Reteria would be sunk directly, so Ling Tian retracted his attack. Spiritual Art Attack Blue Sea and Sky. Ling Tian used a spiritual technique that he hadn't used for a long time, and directly used sea water to knock Garp to a height of more than 1,000 meters. Moon's Step. Garp didn't feel anything when he was knocked into the air by Ling Tian. After all, it was just ordinary sea water that knocked him away. Try my new knife. Ling Tian put the two knives on his waist back into the system space, and then took out another red knife from the system space. All kinds of things. All is ashes. The blade flows like fire. Boom. A huge pillar of fire shot up into the sky, and even the sea water around Ling Tian was evaporated. What is this? Flame. Garp looked at the pillar of fire next to him with some surprise. Could this guy be the user of the flame fruit? Not right. If this kid is a person with special abilities, he shouldn't be able to move under the sea. Garp, who couldn't figure it out, simply stopped thinking about it and covered his fist with the armament color. Armament, secret technique, one punch steel bone. Garp punched the air directly and then a black energy hit Ling Tian directly. Torch. Ling Tian directly swung the Raijin Ruka in his hand, and a huge column of fire crashed into the black energy body shot out by Garp. However, the black energy dissipated instantly when Song Ming touched Garp. Cap saw the corners of his mouth curl up slightly. This is his strongest attack. And Garp is confident that he can defeat Ling Tian with this move. Chapter 36, Defeat Garp. Swastika, Residual Fire Sword. When Ling Tian saw that the torch he had used had no effect on Garp's black energy, he immediately activated his Bankai. Boom! A huge flame shot up into the sky and then retracted into the blade of the Zangkan no Tachi. After Ling Tian Bankai, the surrounding ocean was directly evaporated, and the sea water in the Reteria Sea disappeared directly. Even the fish on the seabed died directly. Not only that, after Ling Tian Bankai Zangka Dachi, places all over the world became hot. Navy headquarters. What a terrible temperature! Kuzan was surprised when he felt the temperature in the air. He had just tried to use his ice to lower the temperature, but he was surprised to find that he could not use the ability of the ice fruit. What happened? Sakaski was also surprised by the temperature. He felt that his magma seemed so powerless in front of this temperature. It's so scary, just as scary as the sun was back then. Borsellino complained while cutting his nails. Zhang Guo was also a little shocked when he felt the temperature around him. Moby Dick. Too horrible. Marco was also a little shocked when he felt the temperature around him. Gulala, it must be that kid Ling Tian who did it again. Newgate felt the temperature around him and thought of Ling Tian. Wanakuni. What's going on with this horrible temperature? Bucky felt the temperature around him and was more shocked than those before him. Because Bucky possesses the ability of Grey Sun, he understands the horror of this temperature better than anyone else. I'm afraid this temperature can hurt me. Kaido was also surprised when he felt the temperature. It was the first time he had witnessed such a horrible temperature. Outside the Reteria Sea. Zangkan no Tachi, north, ashes of heaven and earth. Ling Tian slashed directly at Garp's black ability with his sword, and when the sword hit the black energy, it was instantly annihilated. How can it be? Garp looked in disbelief as he saw his full-strength attack being instantly obliterated by Ling Tian's slash. The strongest move that I had practiced for so long was solved by Ling Tian with just one sword? Ling Tian ignored Garp's shock and immediately released his Bankai. Ling Tian really didn't expect that in just less than a minute, the Reteria coastline dropped more than 500 meters. The main reason was that Ling Tian was not very skilled in using the Zanhuo katana because it was his first time. After Ling Tian released the Zanhuo katana, he jumped directly onto Redaria. Boy, what was that temperature just now? Garp also walked up to Redaria on the moon steps and asked Ling Tian. When fighting with Ling Tian just now, Garp didn't care much, but when the battle was over, Garp recalled the temperature that Ling Tian had just exploded. Garp felt that if that kind of temperature was applied directly to his body, even if his entire body was covered with armament haki, it would be annihilated in an instant. That is the power of my sword. Ling Tian took out the Raijin Jaka and showed it to Garp. Garp also looked at the Raijin Ruka in Ling Tian's hand. Is this one of the 12 supreme swords? Garp looked at the knife in Ling Tian's hand and asked curiously. He is a pure physical martial artist, so he doesn't know much about famous swords. No. This sword is not any kind of sharp blade. Although Raijin Jaka can rival the 12 supreme swords, it does not belong to the category of supreme swords. Not any kind of sharp knife. Garp felt a little strange when he heard Ling Tian's words. Although Garp is not a swordsman, there are so many sword masters in the navy, so Garp can naturally see that the sword in Ling Tian's hand is extraordinary. I didn't expect that it was not among the fast knives. So, Mr. Garp, what brings you here? Although Ling Tian roughly knew that Garp came to see Liuju, because the person who met Garp at that time was wearing a mask, Ling Tian had to pretend that he didn't know why Garp came here. What? Didn't that guy tell you? Garp picked his nose and said. Garp thought that the masked man would tell Ling Tian that he would come. I'm going to see Liuju's grave. Garp directly told Ling Tian the purpose of his visit to Redaria. You come with me. Ling Tian took Garp directly to the temporary grave of Liuju that he had prepared. When his clone on Batalila Island told Garp that Liuju's body would be buried in Redaria, Ling Tian built a fake grave for Liuju. As for the real Liuju's body, it was placed in Ling Tian's system space together with Roger's body. Garp followed Ling Tian to a grave in Redaria. Garp looked at Liuju's grave and found nothing unusual, so he left. Because when Ling Tian built this tomb, he placed an object that could simulate a corpse in the tomb. Therefore, Garp's observation haki did not detect anything unusual in the tomb. Ling Tian watched Garp leave and then returned to his cabin. When Ling Tian returned to the cabin, he saw Albia writing something. Were you fighting with someone just now? Albia said after seeing Ling Tian coming back. Because when Ling Tian was using the Zanhuo katana just now, the temperature around him became extremely high. Although Ling Tian had set up some defenses around the wooden house to isolate the heat from the outside, when Ling Tian used the Zanhuo tachi just now. Except for the trees protected by the wooden house, almost all the trees on Redaria were burned. Ah, Vice Admiral Garp just came. But he's gone now. Ling Tian told Albia the truth. Ling Tian was glad that he didn't let Albia go with him, otherwise, given the character of the navy, it would be troublesome if they knew that there were still survivors of O'Hara here. Because before the navy launched the demon-killing order, Albia had been captured by the navy, and it was Sauron who released her. Therefore, there must be someone in the navy who knows Albia. Even if Garp won't tell the navy, there is no guarantee that other navy members won't tell it. Garp? The heroic Garp. Albia was also somewhat shocked when she heard Ling Tian's words. But he soon calmed down. The man in front of him was the man with the highest bounty on the sea. Garp alone should not be enough to leave him helpless. What? Ling Tian nodded and went back to the wooden house. Next, Ling Tian has to arrange some things for the future. There are some things Ling Tian wants to change. The protagonist Luffy will be born in 3 years, which means he still has 20 years to complete the system's mission. Ling Tian needs to think carefully about some major events that will come next. P.S. Because the author feels that he has written too much about the events before boarding Luffy's ship. The author will only cover the events from the year 1500 of the Kaiwan calendar to Luffy's departure for sea in the next chapter. Chapter 37 Quick Plot. The year 1503 in the Kaiwan calendar is the day Luffy was born. In the year 1504 of the Kaiwan calendar, Ling Tian went to Fishman Island and met Neptune, the king of Fishman Island, and Neptune's daughter Shirahoshi. By chance, Ling Tian also met the Fishman Tiger, who would cause trouble in Marijoa in the future. In the year 1505 of the Kaiwan calendar, Ling Tian went to Shanks's territory, only to find that Shanks was no longer in the New World. Ling Tian knew that Shanks was going to steal the Nika fruit, and by chance, the Nika fruit that Shanks stole would be eaten by Luffy. In the year 1506 of the Kaiwan calendar, Tiger came to Rederia to find Ling Tian and invited Ling Tian to go with him to Marijoa to rescue the slaves there. Ling Tian agreed to Tiger's request, and in the same year he and Tiger broke into Marijoa and rescued the slaves. During this period, Ling Tian met the three Hancock sisters, and asked Rayleigh of the Sabayati archipelago to send the three Hancock sisters back to Amazon Lily. In the same year, Ling Tian met the fisherman A Long who later burned, killed and looted in Kokozia village. Ling Tian showed the 4 photos to the fisherman A Long and warned him not to attack these 4 people if he met them in the future. Although Aaron felt puzzled, he still agreed. These 4 photos are exactly those of Nami, Nojiko, Belmare, and Ken. As for where these photos came from, of course they were obtained from the system. In 1509, Shanks led his pirate group to the East China Sea. No one knew what Shanks did in the East China Sea. In the same year, Shanks returned to the New World, and to the shock of the world, he actually lost an arm in the East China Sea. The world's swordsman with the same name as Hawkeye Mihawk actually lost an arm in the East China Sea, which is known as the weakest. After Shanks lost an arm, everyone on the sea believed that Hawkeye Mihawk was the world's greatest swordsman. But Mihawk objects to this title. According to some gossip, the reason why Mihawk does not admit that he is the world's greatest swordsman is because there is another opponent who can match him. Shanks once told Mihawk that there was a man with a sword who was even stronger than him on an island in the New World. In the 1510th year of the Haiwan calendar, Ling Tian learned that the ASL group was officially established somewhere in the East China Sea. These were the 3 brothers who would make countless Haimai cry in the future. In the year 1511 of the Sea Circle calendar, Indiana ordered to become the world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye Mihawk came to Rederia on his coffin boat. Mihawk had a duel with Ling Tian in Rederia about who is the greatest swordsman in the world. At the end, Hawkeye Mihawk's black sword was left with a small crack. When Mihawk appeared in the sea, everyone in the sea was shocked. Hawkeye Mihawk, who was recognized by the people of the sea as the world's greatest swordsman, had his supreme sword, yet, one of the 12 skills, cut into a small crack by someone. Only then did the people on the sea believe the rumor about a great swordsman who was even more powerful than Mihawk. However, neither the world government nor the major figures in the underground world got the name of the great swordsman from Mihawk. Only a few people on the sea who were familiar with Ling Tian could guess who defeated Mihawk. In the year 1512 of the Haiwan calendar, a masked man rescued a fisherman who was about to be executed from the judicial island, which was known as one of the 3 major institutions of the Navy. This year, the title of CP became a laughing stock on the sea. The pirates wanted to imitate the masked man and make a big fuss on Judicial Island. But they were all caught by CP, and CP's reputation was restored a little on the sea. In the year 1513 of the Haiwan calendar, another major event shocked the world. Zephyr, who was known as the Admiral who never kills, almost had his arm chopped off by a pirate known as Whitebeard II. At the critical moment, the masked man who had caused a big fuss on Judicial Island rescued Zephyr. In the end, the pirate known as Whitebeard II was sunk into the sea by the masked man and his life or death is unknown. After the masked man rescued Zifa, Zifa disappeared from the sea, and even the Navy couldn't find Zifa. In fact, Zifa, who was rescued by Ling Tian, followed Ling Tian to Rederia, under the pretext of, "I must supervise a dangerous person like you." As for the real situation, Ling Tian didn't understand. Anyway, Zifa had been in Rederia during this period of time. Even built a lot of houses in Redolia. Ling Tian saw that Zifa seemed to be planning to live in Rederia. In the year 1515 of the Sea Circle calendar, Rederia had been transformed into a small town by the navy led by Zifa. Because Rederia became a town, more and more people came to Rederia. Ling Tian was used to living alone, and he didn't want Albia to be discovered by Zifa, so when Zifa came to Rederia, Ling Tian moved his house deep into Rederia. In the year 1517 of the Sea Circle calendar, the Spade Pirates, led by a pirate named Porgas d'Ace, appeared on the sea. And with the help of his natural type fruit, the flame fruit, he instantly became a supernova in the ocean. In the year 1518 of the Sea Circle calendar, the captain of the Spade Pirates, Porgas d'Ace, challenged the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, but failed. He was adopted as a son by Whitebeard and became the captain of the second squad of the Whitebeard Pirates in the same year. In 1519 of the Sea Circle calendar, Garp came to Rederia and discovered that Zephyr had built a town in Rederia. Garp persuaded Zephyr to return to the navy, but Zephyr refused to go back to the navy with Garp on the grounds of monitoring Ling Tian. And Zephyr also wants to persuade Garp to stay and retire with him in Redaria. Garp also refused, saying that he wanted to wait until that guy Sengoku retired before retiring. But Garp promised Zephyr that he would come to Redaria to accompany Zephyr after he and Sengoku retired. Zephyr did not force Garp to stay. In the 1520th year of the Haiwan calendar, Ling Tian separated his physical body and went to the East China Sea. Because the agreement between him and Zhang Guo had been fulfilled, Ling Tian could appear on the sea. Moreover, those vice-admirals at that time, Kuzan, Sakaski and Borsellino have now become admirals. The titles of the three are, Aokiji, Akainu and Kizaru respectively. In the same year, Mihawk came to Redaria again and challenged Ling Tian again, but Mihawk was defeated again and left a sword scar on his chest. People on the sea all want to know who caused the sword scar on Mihawk's chest. Haiwan calendar year 1521. Ding! Congratulations to the host for staying in Redaria until the plot begins. All of the host's abilities are maxed out. Ding! Story mission released. Story mission 1. Become a member of Monkey D. Luffy's crew and follow Luffy to the final island, Raftel. Reward, the ability to travel through the world. Plot mission 2. Go out on your own and prove your strength to the sea. No reward. I choose 1. Ling Tian made a choice immediately. Even a fool would know which of the two options he should choose. The first one is the ability to travel through the world. When I arrive at Raftel on Luffy's ship, I can immediately go to other worlds. Gone as a fa. Ling Tian set off for the East China Sea on his own ship. Chapter 38, Getting on Luffy and number 039, S ship, normal update. Properties panel. Host, Dr. D. Ling Tian. Ability. Sealing device, lightning. The first seal, Gui Ning, unlocked. The second seal, moonlight, unlocked. The third seal, savagery, unlocked. The fourth seal, Baxia, unlocked. The fifth seal, absolute sword, unlocked. The sixth seal, heaven and earth sword, unlocked. The seventh seal, at Fi Shanding, unlocked. The eighth seal, blazing flame, unlocked. The ninth seal, doomsday, unlocked. Fencing. Complete collection of one sword style, LV10, maximum level. Dual blade collection, LV10, maximum level. 3 sword style complete works, LV10, maximum level. Spiritual skills, LV10, maxed. 3 colors domineering. Armament haki, LV5, maxed. Observation haki, LV5, maxed. Conqueror's haki, LV5, maxed. Physical clone, maximum level. Fountain of life, immortality. Items owned. 12 supreme swords, ace. Sealed lightning. Zanpakut, Ryujin Jaka, Zanka no Tachi. Wind ring. Sword skill points. Spirit point. Lottery shop. Number of draws available, open. I have become so powerful without realizing it. Ling Tian couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the attribute panel. Soon Ling Tian arrived at the East China Sea by boat. He had previously sent a clone to the East China Sea to secretly observe Luffy, so Ling Tian naturally knew Luffy's itinerary at a glance. According to the clone's memory, Luffy is now in a wooden barrel. Ling Tian was also speechless when he received the memory of his clone. You said you were going to go out to sea, so at least get a better boat. After Ling Tian received the memories of his clone, he immediately flew to the merchant ship closest to the barrel where Luffy was drifting. This person is the most. A short and fat man in white spoke tremblingly. What is the most? Before the short and fat man in white could finish his words, the fat woman holding a mace beside him spoke up. Ling Tian also recognized the short and fat man in white and the fat woman. The short and fat man in white is Kobe, who dreams of becoming a Navy admiral, and the fat woman is Alrita, the first pirate Luffy defeated when he went out to sea. As for the person wearing a red shirt and a straw hat next to Kobe, it is naturally Luffy. The ugliest old woman. Because of Luffy, Kobe finally said what he had never dared to say. But as soon as these words came out, Alrita's face immediately darkened. She didn't expect that Kobe, the most timid person on the ship, would dare to say this to her. Not only Alrita, but even the pirates under her were shocked. They really didn't expect that Kobe would dare to say that. They just hoped that Kobe's words won't implicate them, otherwise they won't be able to withstand Alrida's mace. Ha 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 ha. Only Luffy laughed when he heard Kobe's words. He didn't care at all or was not afraid of Alrida at all. Ling Tian couldn't help but chuckle when he saw Kobe's operation from the sky. What did you say? Alrida immediately got angry when she heard Luffy's laughter. I'm going to be a marine and catch you, asshole. Kobe had already cursed in his mind, so he just said it out loud. Just like Luffy said, it didn't matter even if he died because of it. Well said, little devil. Ling Tian flew from the sky to Kobe and praised him. Although Luffy was responsible, it has to be said that Kobe still has something in him as he was able to overcome his inner fear. Thank you for the compliment. Kobe was also startled when he saw Ling Tian flying down, but after he came to his senses, he thanked Ling Tian. Wow! As soon as Kobe finished thanking him, he was knocked down by Luffy. You can actually fly, why? Are you a devil fruit user like me? When Luffy saw Ling Tian who could fly, he immediately circled around Ling Tian with stars in his eyes regardless of the occasion. No, I'm not a devil fruit user. Ling Tian saw Luffy circling around him and explained. Ling Tian already knew that this was Luffy's personality, so he didn't feel surprised. I say, who the hell are you? Alrida was angry when she saw Luffy and Ling Tian didn't take her seriously. Me? Ling Tian pointed at himself and asked, I don't think I need to tell you. You bastard! When Alrida heard Ling Tian's words, she immediately became furious and swung the mace at Ling Tian. Seeing this, Ling Tian immediately pulled Luffy in front of him. After all, Luffy was a rubber man and this kind of attack would not hurt him. Although Ling Tian knew that Luffy was a rubber man, Kobe next to him didn't know. When he saw Alrida's mace hitting Luffy's head, he was immediately scared and burst into tears. It's no use. Luffy showed a classic smile. What? Alrida was also shocked when she heard Luffy's words. In the past, she could solve the problem with just one blow of the stick. Even if it can't solve the problem, it can still cause serious damage to the enemy. Because I'm a rubber man. Luffy also immediately explained to Alrida. Rubber, pistol. After explaining, Luffy directly knocked Alrida away with a rubber pistol. Seeing Luffy's actions, Kobe and Alrida's crew members all opened their mouths wide. This is something that can only be seen in the world of pirates. Ling Tian couldn't help but complain when he saw their appearance. Hey, what's your name? After Luffy beat Alrida away, he said to Ling Tian. Me? My name is Ling Tian, Dr. D. Ling Tian. Ling Tian. Ling Tian, be my crew member. Your crew. Ling Tian landed directly on the deck. Ah, I am the man who will become the Pirate King. Luffy opened his arms and showed his signature smile. Having heard it once, Kobe thought it was nothing, but the crew members of Alrida next to him were shocked by what Luffy said. Does this guy know what he is talking about? Oh, One Piece? Does that mean you're going to look for Roger's treasure? Only you? No, I need to recruit some crew members first. I want to recruit a navigator, a cook, and a musician. Luffy counted on his fingers and said. Pirate King? Fine, I'll get on your ship. Seeing Luffy's expression, Ling Tian also agreed. Anyway, his goal was to get on Luffy's ship. Well. Luffy immediately got excited when he heard Ling Tian's words. Well, please allow me to introduce myself. Ling Tian took out a bounty order from his pocket and slammed it on the ground. I am the speedster with a bounty of 53 billion berries, Dr. D. Ling Tian. Please give me your guidance in the future, Captain. 53 billion berries? Okay, I don't have a bounty yet, but one day my bounty will definitely exceed yours. Luffy was also excited when he saw Ling Tian's bounty. 53 billion, 5300 million berries. Kilo XN. Luffy didn't care, but Kobe and the others on the ship swallowed hard and couldn't believe it. What's wrong, Kobe? Luffy noticed that something was wrong with Kobe, so he asked. What's wrong? Mr. Luffy, do you know how outrageous his bounty is? A bounty of 53 billion berries. When Kobe heard Luffy ask him what happened, he immediately said. Alas, it's only 53 billion berries. Luffy picked his nose and said indifferently. Mr. Luffy, the 4 sea emperors on that ocean only have about 50 billion berries. Mr. Ling Tian has 3 million more than the sea emperor. Kobe also started to explain to Luffy. But Ling Tian looked at Luffy and thought that he didn't understand what Kobe was saying at all. When Kobe saw Luffy's expression, he felt that Luffy didn't hear what he said, so he didn't say anything else. Soon Luffy and Kobe stole a small pirate ship from Alrida's men and set off for the next island. There were only Luffy and Kobe sitting on the boat, while Ling Tian was flying. He didn't want to squeeze in such a small boat with Luffy and the others. Mr. Luffy. If you want to find One Piece, you have to go to the Grand Line, right? The place known as the Pirates' Graveyard. Kirby asked as he rowed the boat. The Grand Line isn't that scary. Ling Tian flew down and said to Kobe. Mr. Ling Tian is a great pirate with a huge reputation in the Grand Line. Of course I don't think the Grand Line is scary. After hearing Ling Tian's words, Kobe also spoke. As a pirate with a bounty of 53 billion, Ling Tian certainly doesn't think the Grand Line is scary, but Luffy is just a rookie who has just set out to sea. I will go even if it's dangerous, even if I lose my life. Luffy stared at the straw hat in his hand and spoke firmly. So I need to find a strong partner. What kind of person is that pirate hunter or something? Luffy put the straw hat on his head and asked Kobe and Ling Tian. Are you talking about Zoro? I heard that he has been taken to the naval base now. When Kobe heard Luffy's words, he immediately remembered the pirate hunter Zoro, whom he often heard on the Alrida pirate group. At that time, he really hoped that Zoro would come to Alrida to rescue him. But just a few days ago, Kobe received the news that Zoro was captured by the Navy, and he felt desperate at that time. Unexpectedly, she met Luffy, and Luffy beat Alrida away. What? So weak? After hearing that Zoro was captured, Luffy wanted to give up the idea of inviting Zoro to join him. Pirate hunter Zoro. I heard that he was arrested by the Navy because he was protecting a girl. Ling Tian heard their discussion and said. In the original work, Zoro was captured by Colonel Monka's son because he saved a little girl in the restaurant. And they agreed to set Zoran free within 10 days. What? It turns out he's a good guy. When Luffy heard Ling Tian's words, he immediately planned to invite Zoro to join them. If Luffy was captured by the Navy because he was weak, he would not invite Zoro on board. But if it was to protect the weak, no matter how weak he is, Luffy would definitely invite him on board as long as he is interested. Really? I thought Zoro was arrested because he was a bad guy. Kobe was also a little surprised when he heard Ling Tian's words. He thought that Zoro was captured by the Navy because he did something bad. In Kobe's current eyes, the Navy represents justice. And there will be no scum in the Navy. Ling Tian could only say that Kobe was still too naive. Really? Then let's invite that guy called Zoro to be our partner. Set off. When Luffy heard Ling Tian say that Zoro was not a bad person, he immediately stood at the bow and raised his hands and laughed. Soon Ling Tian and his friends arrived at the town of Shields. After Ling Tian and his men put the boat away, they went to the island. There are almost no obvious buildings in the town of Shields. The most obvious thing is the naval branch base that looks like a huge chimney. Where is that guy Zoro? Luffy muttered to himself as he walked down the street. However, when the people around heard Luffy's words, they all moved away from him. It seems that we cannot mention Zoro's name here. Kobe said quietly to Luffy as he looked at the crowd around them. Maybe he's afraid of getting himself implicated. Ling Tian probably knew why they reacted this way when they heard Zoro's name. Their island was exploited by Monka. Since Monka came to the town of Shields, no one dared to disobey Monka and his son Belamub. Zoro is the only person who dares to do this in such a long time. Although Zoro is not from Shields town, they are still afraid of implicating themselves. Really? Anyway, let's go to the naval base first. Kirby, didn't you say you wanted to be a marine? Luffy couldn't find any trace of Zoro and decided to go to the naval base first. Yet, maybe Zoro is being held in the naval base. Ling Tian also thought that there was nothing wrong with what Luffy said. After all, in the original work, the captain and vice-captain of the Straw Hat Pirates met for the first time at the naval base. But now, the vice-captain of the Straw Hat Pirates must have been the one who didn't run away. Okay, this is it. Soon Luffy, Ling Tian, and others arrived at the gate of the naval base. This must be it. Ling Tian looked at the two big words Navy written on the gate speechlessly. We are finally here. Now we have to say goodbye, Mr. Luffy, Mr. Ling Tian. Kobe was so excited that tears came to his eyes when he saw the Navy gate in front of him. But Luffy and Ling Tian ignored him and climbed directly to the wall next to the Navy. Okay. Only Luffy crawled, while Ling Tian flew. Ling Tian, your ability is so convenient. I want it too. Luffy was very envious when he saw Ling Tian flying in the air easily while he had to climb hard. Really? Then I'll make one for you later. After hearing what Luffy said, Ling Tian thought that he could get one for each member of the Straw Hat Pirates. After all, after completing the previous mission, there was no limit to the number of times Ling Tian could draw. However, Ling Tian was still as unlucky as ever. He had drawn thousands of times but still couldn't draw the item for resurrection. Great! Oh, it's so dangerous, so dangerous! Luffy immediately became excited when he heard Ling Tian's words and almost fell down. Hey, Mr. Luffy, Mr. Ling Tian, what are you doing? Kobe looked at Luffy and Ling Tian who were not listening to him and were looking at something on the navy wall and asked curiously. Is that Zoro? Ah, I think so. Luffy and Ling Tian didn't listen to Kobe at all, and just started talking to themselves. After hearing what Luffy and Ling Tian said, Kobe also climbed up the wall of the naval base. When Kobe climbed over the wall, he saw a man wearing green pants, a white shirt and a green turban on his head tied up inside. P.S. Although only one chapter is updated today, it is 4,000 words like the usual 2 chapters. In the future, the author will directly update a chapter of 4,000 words unless there are special circumstances. Chapter 39 Roronoa Zoro. If we just untie the rope, we can easily let him go. Luffy confirmed that the person tied up was Zoro and spoke. Well, that should be okay. Ling Tian looked at the tied up Zoro and took out a camera from the system space to take a few photos. After all, this is one of the few dark histories of Zoro. You, stop saying such stupid things. Even such powerful people have been arrested, let alone you too. Kobe immediately retorted when he heard Luffy's words. Because Ling Tian had previously told Kobe that Zoro was captured for protecting others, Kobe now did not say what would happen if Zoro was released as in the original work. After saying this, Kobe realized that Ling Tian was not an ordinary person, but a big pirate with 53 billion berries. Hey, you three! While Luffy and Ling Tian were talking, Zoro had already discovered them. It's an eyesore, get out of here. Zoro raised his head slightly and spoke in a pretentious manner. Hey, will the great pirate hunter Roronoa Zoro be captured by the navy? I thought the person who said I will definitely become the world's greatest swordsman was very powerful. Ling Tian was unhappily surprised to see Zoro acting like an idiot and sneered at him. Nanny. Soran was also a little angry when he heard Ling Tian's words. If it wasn't for the need to protect that girl, a mere naval colonel wouldn't matter much, it would just be a matter of a few stabs from him. Hey, the world's greatest swordsman. This is fitting for a pirate king's companion. After Luffy heard Ling Tian talk about Zoro's dream, he immediately became interested in Zoro. Ling Tian wiped his nose and felt a little embarrassed when he heard Luffy's words. Logically speaking, I have already defeated my hawk, so I should be the #1 swordsman in the pirate world now. But Ling Tian didn't say it. At this moment, a ladder suddenly appeared next to Ling Tian, and a little girl climbed up the ladder. Shush! The little girl made a hushing gesture to Ling Tian and the others, and then observed whether there were any navy guarding the surroundings. After finding that there were no navy soldiers, the little girl lowered a rope and climbed down. Luffy and Ling Tian watched the little girl crawl into the navy's execution ground. What does she want to do? Luffy looked at the little girl in confusion. Who knows? Ling Tian did not answer Luffy's question either. Ah, danger! Mr. Luffy, Mr. Ling Tian, go and stop her. She will be killed. Kobe couldn't help but get nervous when he saw the little girl actually running directly towards Zoro. Luffy and Ling Tian heard what Kobe said but did not take any action. Ling Tian didn't take action because he knew that nothing would happen to the little girl. As for Luffy, he simply believed that Zoro would not hurt the little girl. I have to say that Luffy looks silly usually, but he has a pretty good eye for people. What's wrong? When Zoro saw the little girl running over, he also spoke. It was because of this little girl that he was tied up by the naval captain's stupid son. Although he did it voluntarily. He didn't want the little girl to be too involved in this matter. You must be hungry. I brought some rice balls. When the little girl saw Zoro's appearance, she was not afraid, but took out the rice ball from her arms. Little ghost, do you want to die? Get lost. Zoro didn't look at the little girl's rice ball but said fiercely. He didn't want the little girl to be killed because of this kind of thing if she was discovered by the navy. There was no doubt that the girl would be killed. Brother, you haven't eaten yet. Give. Although this is my first time doing this, I put a lot of effort into it. The little girl was not scared away by Zoro, but handed the rice ball to Zoro. If it weren't for Zoro, perhaps he and his mother would have been killed by Burmeber long ago. I'm not hungry. Zoro was very happy to hear that the little girl was making rice balls for him with great care, but in order to prevent anything from happening to the little girl, he still said sternly that he was not hungry. Don't bully others. At this moment, 3 figures walked in from the gate of the execution ground. The one in the middle was Burmeber, the son of Navy Captain Monka. Seeing Barum, Zoro immediately became nervous. I didn't expect you to be so energetic, Roronoa Zoro. Burmeber said as he walked. But in his heart, he was thinking of finding a reason to execute Zoro. Yes. From the beginning, Burmeber had no intention of abiding by the agreement with Zoro, but instead wanted to kill the guy who made him look bad. Hey, Luffy! Did you see that guy with yellow hair? If you want Zoro to get on board, beat him up. Ling Tian pointed at Bellamy Bear and said. Hey, Mr. Ling Tian, how can you do this? Kobe was confused when he heard Ling Tian asking Luffy to beat up the marine who walked in. That? I see. Rubber pistol. When Luffy heard Ling Tian say that if he beat up the yellow-haired guy, Zoro would be willing to board his ship, he punched Barumba away without saying a word. Boom. What? Zoro and the other 2 marines were startled. The 2 sailors really didn't expect that someone would dare to beat Colonel Monka's son in the Navy's execution ground. As for Zoro, he didn't expect that this group of people would attack immediately after seeing Burmeber. He. Your name is Roronoa Zoro, right? Come aboard my boat. Luffy came to Zoro and said. Ha, who are you? My name is Monkey D. Luffy, and I am the man who will become the Pirate King. Luffy didn't care where this place was and told Zoro about his dream openly. AI. Luffy didn't care, but the 2 marines next to him were surprised. Pirate King? Do you know what you are talking about? Zoro was also a little shocked when he heard Luffy's words. Becoming the Pirate King is even more difficult than his dream. If Ling Tian knew what Zoro was thinking, he would definitely tell Zoro without hesitation that his idea was too naive. He is the world's greatest swordsman, and now he is invincible in every aspect. Okay, I'll be your crewmate if you can get my knife back. Zoro agreed after hearing Luffy's words. He knew that if he remained here he would definitely be killed, and now that the knife was not with him he had no way out at all. What's more, only the Pirate King is qualified to make himself a crew member, and only the Pirate King is worthy of his future identity. Oh, that's agreed. Ling Tian was also a little shocked when he heard what Zoro said. In the original work, Ling Tian agreed to become Luffy's crew member because Luffy told Zoro that he would be killed by Burmeber. Ling Tian didn't expect that Luffy would agree just by telling Zoro his dream. Give me your knife and you'll agree to board my boat. Where's your knife? It was taken away by that naval captain's stupid son. Is it? When Luffy heard what Zoro said, he immediately grabbed Barumba next to him and ran out. Hey, that's the direction. Just when Zoro felt relieved, he discovered that Luffy and Burmeber had gone to the wrong place. I have to say that the current Zoro is not as directionally challenged as he was in the later years, and he still knows how to give Luffy directions. When Luffy heard what Zoro said, he immediately turned around and ran in another direction. After Ling Tian saw Luffy running away, he also flew to Zoro and said, "Just eat the rice ball." It took a lot of effort to make it. When Zoro heard Ling Tian's words, he didn't say anything, but pursed his lips to let the little girl feed him. Puff. After Zoro finished eating the rice ball, Ling Tian cut the rope that tied Zoro. "Are you also a 3-sword swordsman?" Zoro asked curiously when he saw the 3 knives hanging on Ling Tian's waist. "Well, I guess so." Ling Tian did not deny it. After all, when he got the 3rd sword style, Renjaka, Ling Tian unlocked the complete set of 3 sword styles. It's just that Ling Tian doesn't often use the 3 swords style, mainly because Ling Tian can't learn to recite the names of the moves while biting the sword like Zoro does. Colonel Monka, it seems that Roronoa Zoro has been rescued from the execution ground. A marine who saw Ling Tian release Zoro reported to Monka. What? Someone dares to disobey my orders again. When Monka heard the Navy's report, he immediately said angrily. Monka, who was hypnotized by Zhang Jiao, always believed that he was the greatest on this island, so he would never allow anyone on this island to disobey his orders. Execute that person immediately. Yes, yes. Soon Monka arrived at the execution ground with a group of navy men. Who are you to disobey the orders of the great Colonel Monka? Monka, who had just arrived at the execution ground, shouted to Ling Tian and the others. Can you fix it? Soran looked at Ling Tian and said. Now, because he has no sword, he can only exert 1/10 of his strength. Now he can only hope that Ling Tian can kill these navy men. Give it to me. Ling Tian walked straight to the front and crossed his arms. Swordless-style bird of prey. Ling Tian crossed his hands and waved them, and countless beasts condensed by sword energy attacked Monka. Ah ah ah! Instantly the navy was dealt with by Ling Tian. Because Ling Tian's main target was Monka, the other navy soldiers were simply knocked to the ground by the sword energy. As for Monka, he was knocked unconscious by Ling Tian. Gilu! Gilu! There were bursts of swallowing sounds. The navy officers really didn't expect that Colonel Monka, who had bullied the town of Shields for so long, would be defeated by the purple-haired man with just one move. Wow, so awesome! Kobe was also shocked when he saw Ling Tian defeated Colonel Monka with just one move. Although he knew that Ling Tian was very powerful as the navy offered a reward of 53 billion berries, he didn't expect him to be so powerful. The navy colonel was taken care of with just one move. Strong! Zoro looked at Ling Tian and chuckled. Become free! Although the navy was shocked that Ling Tian defeated Monka in one move, they quickly reacted. Then all kinds of things were thrown into the sky by the navy. What's wrong? They're so happy that their colonel was defeated. Zoro also found the actions of the navy a little strange. So that's how it is. They were forced to do those things because of Colonel Monka's oppression. Great! Kobe also reacted when he saw the actions of the navy. Well, it seems so. Ling Tian walked to Zoro's side, took out a piece of cloth and placed it on the ground. What are you up to? Zoro was puzzled when he saw Ling Tian take out a piece of cloth and put it on the ground. You've been hungry for so long, eat something. Ling Tian took out a pile of food from the system space and said to Soran. Oh, I'm welcome then. When Zoro saw so much food, he immediately started eating it in big mouthfuls. After all, he had been hungry for so long. Soon, the pile of food that Ling Tian took out was eaten up by Zoro. Seeing this, Ling Tian had no choice but to take out more food from the system space. Ling Tian had prepared a lot of food when he left Redaria. It can basically feed a pirate group of 1,000 people for 2 to 3 years, but Ling Tian guessed that this amount of food would not last their pirate group even for a month. You guys come and have some too. Ling Tian looked at Kobe and the little girl who were in a daze and waved. After hearing Ling Tian's words, Kobe and the little girl ran to Zoro and started eating. Would you like some? There's still plenty. Ling Tian turned his head and said to Haijun with a piece of meat in one hand. Hey, can we eat it too? The sailors were amazed. They really didn't expect that the purple-haired man would extend an invitation to people like them who always bullied the villagers. Although they did not bully the villagers voluntarily, they still did something unforgivable. It's okay, come on. Yes, Navy brothers, let's eat together. The little girl also invited the sailors to eat together. She also knew that these Navy officers did not really want to bully the villagers, but had to do so because of Monka. When the sailors heard the little girl say this, they all ran over and started eating. Zoro looked at the group of Navy men and had no opinion. Boom! Just as Ling Tian and the others were eating, a figure flew over from the naval base. How dare you eat meat here without calling me? The figure immediately stood up and ran to Ling Tian and started eating the meat in big mouthfuls. Even the meat in Kobe and the others' hands was snatched away by the figure. Knowing that the figure was Luffy, he had just found Zoro's sword in a room in the naval base and wanted to go back immediately to invite Zoro to board his ship. But when he looked over, he found that Ling Tian and the others were sitting on the ground eating meat. Then he flew over with a rubber rocket launcher carrying Zoro's knife on his back. Sorry. Ling Tian looked at Luffy and apologized while taking out the food from the system space for Luffy to eat. Give me back my knife, you bastard! Boom! When Zoro saw Luffy find his sword, he was about to go over to take it, but Luffy, who was eating and drinking, punched him and knocked him away. You bastard, I'm going to chop you up! Zoro muttered as he was punched into the wall by Luffy. When Ling Tian saw Luffy like this, he couldn't help but cover his face. Chapter 40 Orange Town. Where is our ship? After eating the food Ling Tian brought out, Zoro asked Luffy curiously. Since you've made such a bold statement that you want to become the Pirate King, you should have quite a few crew members. Where? Luffy jumped to a high place where he could see the ship and pointed at the small boat he and Kobe had been on before. Nanny, what about the crew? When Zoro saw the ship Luffy was pointing at, he immediately felt like he was on a pirate ship. Just the three of us. When Ling Tian heard what Zoro said, he chuckled and pointed at Luffy and himself. The corners of Zoro's mouth twitched, but he didn't say anything. After all, he had promised Luffy so he wouldn't go back on his word easily. You are pirates, right? Just after Ling Tian and his friends finished eating, a navy officer said to them. Although Ling Tian and his team defeated Monka, they were navy after all while Ling Tian and his team were pirates. At most, they would not tell the headquarters about Ling Tian's affairs. Yes, we are pirates. Luffy had no concerns when he heard the navy's words, but directly told the navy that he was a pirate. Moreover, it seems unlikely that Ling Tian would ask Luffy to lie. After all, people with Luffy's personality are not suitable for lying. Then please leave this island. To thank you for saving the island, we will not tell headquarters about your affairs. The sailor lowered his hat as if to hide his embarrassment. He also understood that what he did was somewhat inappropriate, but they were the navy after all, and they should have arrested pirates if they saw them. Really? You guys are really nice people. Luffy didn't find it strange to hear the navy's words. After all, he was a pirate and it was normal for the navy not to welcome him. Zoro and Ling Tian also followed Luffy towards their ship. Aren't you in the same group? The marine looked at Kobe who was standing there motionless and spoke. Kobe was a little at a loss when he heard the navy's words. After all, he was once a member of the Alrita pirates. Although it was just cleaning, the navy's intelligence capabilities can still find out about this matter if someone brings it up. Not to mention joining the navy, I would probably be thrown into prison the first moment. When Luffy saw Kobe's helpless look, he also wanted to tell the navy about what happened to Kobe before and then beat Kobe up to show that he and Kobe were not together. Woohoo! Just when Luffy was about to speak, Ling Tian covered Luffy's mouth to prevent Kobe from being beaten by Luffy. What are you doing, Ling Tian? Luffy pushed Ling Tian's hand that was covering his mouth away and spoke. He didn't understand why Ling Tian wanted to stop him. Shut up, leave this to me. Ling Tian walked directly in front of the navy and spoke. Kobe wants to join the navy. Even though he is our friend, becoming a navy is Kobe's dream. Are you kidding me? Are you pirates planning to place an undercover agent in our navy? A marine spoke without waiting for Ling Tian to finish. He didn't believe that someone who was friends with pirates would willingly become a marine. There must be some conspiracy. Ling Tian didn't care what the navy officer said, but continued speaking. I know you don't believe me. Vice Admiral Garp from the Navy headquarters will be here soon. He will understand when you tell him. What? Grandpa? Grandpa will come here. Not good, Ling Tian, Soran, let's go. When Luffy heard Ling Tian say that Garp would come, he immediately pulled Zoro and Ling Tian and was about to run away, because Luffy was very afraid of Garp because of his childhood. Boom! It hurts. When Ling Tian saw that Luffy was trying to pull him away by force, he immediately smashed Luffy's head with a fist covered in armed color. Ling Tian, do you also know the Iron Fist of Love? Luffy covered his head and said with some fear. So Luffy naturally thought that this was the Iron Fist of Love. Yes, this is my full love for you. Ling Tian waved his fist and indicated that if Luffy dragged him away again, he would let him taste his Iron Fist of Love. Gilu. While Ling Tian and the others were making a fuss nearby, the navy officers all swallowed their saliva. What did they just hear? Vice Admiral, Garp, who is known as the hero of the navy, would come here? And the guy wearing a straw hat opposite actually said that Vice Admiral Garp is his grandfather? Doesn't that mean the guy in the straw hat is Vice Admiral Garp's grandson? Did you hear that? Make Kobe a marine. Ling Tian beat Luffy and said to the navy. Yes, yes. The navy responded. If Vice Admiral Garp really lets that kid named Kobe join the navy, there will be nothing he can do. Even if Vice Admiral Garp does not allow that kid to join the navy at that time, he can just arrest him directly. After all, the powerful person is the purple-haired man, and this kid named Kobe just looks weak. Ling Tian nodded in satisfaction after hearing what the navy said. Let's go, Luffy, Zoro. After finishing what he needed to say, Ling Tian took Luffy and Zoro back to his own boat. The navy stood at the dock and saluted as they watched Ling Tian and his men leave. Then they returned to the base and told the headquarters about Colonel Monka's atrocities. Marineford, Marshal's office. What? There are such scums in our navy. When Zhang Guo heard the report from the Marines in charge of the East China Sea, he immediately became angry. I understand, you go down first. Sengoku thought about it, then picked up the Den Mushi and called Garp. Because Garp took leave and returned to the East China Sea some time ago, Sengoku planned to let Garp handle this matter. On Garp's doghead warship. Vice Admiral Garp, your call. A Marine brought a Den Mushi to Garp. Garp took a look and picked up the Den Mushi in a daze. When Garp picked up the Den Mushi, the face of the Den Mushi turned into that of Sengoku. Hey, what's up, Sengoku? Garp said carelessly. Garp, the Navy branch in Shields Town in the East China Sea has something for you to handle. Sengoku didn't care about Garp's laziness. After all, Sengoku and Garp had been colleagues for many years and knew Garp's character very well. Sengoku told Garp what happened in Shields Town and asked Garp to take Monka to impel down. After hearing what Sengoku said, Garp put away his carelessness and promised Sengoku that he would go to Shields Town to bring Monka to justice. Turn the ship around, destination, Shields Town branch. After Garp hung up the phone with Sengoku, he gave orders to his navigator. Soon, Cap's warship arrived at the town of Shields. Vice Admiral Garp. Now that the colonel of Shields Town saw that Cap had actually come to Shields Town, he began to believe Ling Tian's words. Where is Monka? Garp saw the Vice Admiral and spoke. Yes, Monka is now imprisoned in the base's prison. The colonel immediately took Cap to the prison at the naval base. Garp looked at Monka and asked Bogart to take Monka to his warship. Vice Admiral Garp, there is one more thing. The colonel said this with some nervousness. After all, the man in front of him was the famous naval hero, Vice Admiral Garp. What? Garp took out a donut and stuffed it into his mouth. Originally, he came back this time to stop Luffy from going out to sea to become a pirate, but when he returned to Windmill Village, he found that Luffy had already set off. Well, there was a purple-haired man who said you would let this kid join the navy. The colonel pushed Kobe out and spoke. Now he believed Ling Tian's words. Kobe was a little nervous when he was pushed out by the colonel. He really didn't expect that one day he would meet a big man like a naval hero. Oh, the purple-haired man? Any pictures? Garp looked at Kobe with some curiosity. Yes, this is his picture. The colonel handed a photo to Garp. This was the photo he secretly took of Ling Tian. Ling Tian also knew it at the time, but he didn't care. Why is Luffy with this kid? Garp looked at the photo where Luffy was photographed right behind Ling Tian and was a little puzzled. He really couldn't understand how a big shot like Ling Tian could be with Luffy. After all, Luffy was just an unknown little guy. Have you seen this person? Garp pointed at Luffy in the photo and spoke. Yes, I have indeed seen the Straw Hat Boy. The colonel said as he looked at the Straw Hat Boy who was being pointed at by the shop. So they went in that direction. When Garp heard that the colonel knew Luffy, he immediately said anxiously. Luffy has not been put on the bounty list by the Navy yet, so as long as Luffy is captured, he can be prevented from becoming a pirate. However, Garp also knew that he had a high probability of not being able to stop Luffy. After all, he was his grandson, so Garp knew Luffy's character very well. What's more, Ling Tian seems to be by Luffy's side, so it is simply wishful thinking to want to bring Luffy back. Yes, they seem to be heading towards Orange Town. When the colonel heard what Garp said, he immediately told Garp Ling Tian their direction. When Garp heard this, he immediately rushed to his warship as quickly as possible. Bogart, speed up. Destination, Orange Town. After returning to the warship, Garp immediately gave orders to his deputy Bogart. Yes, Lieutenant General Garp. On Luffy's boat. Ling Tian, I'm so hungry. Luffy complained as he lay listlessly on the side of the boat. Didn't you just finish eating? Zoro was also speechless when he heard Luffy's words. He hadn't eaten for so many days and didn't say anything, so how come this guy got hungry so quickly? I'll bring you food when we find the next island. Ling Tian glanced at the listless Luffy and was speechless. Although Ling Tian knew that the reason why Luffy was so hungry was because of his rubber fruit. Really? Luffy's eyes glowed with gold when he heard Ling Tian's words. I have a bad feeling. Ling Tianfei was in the air looking at Luffy with golden eyes and felt a little uneasy. Luffy knocked Zoro away from the boat and started rowing quickly. By the time Ling Tian reacted, Luffy and Zoro had disappeared. I wipe. The food is here. Why are you rowing so fast? Ling Tian complained while displaying his observation haki. When Ling Tian sensed Luffy, he immediately flew in Luffy's direction. On board. Hey, Luffy, what are you doing? Zoro was startled by Luffy's acceleration and could only grab the boat to prevent himself from falling. As for Luffy, he didn't listen to Zoro at all and kept rowing the boat hard. The island is ahead. Soon Luffy saw an island emerging in front of him. After seeing the island, Luffy paddled his boat even harder. Ah, Luffy, hurry up, stop now. When Zoro saw that the boat was getting faster and faster and was about to hit the house on the island in front, he immediately shouted to Luffy to stop. However, Luffy didn't listen to Zoro at all. Because he had a body of rubber, Luffy didn't care about such things at all. But Luffy probably forgot that there was an ordinary person on his ship, so he crashed directly into the house in Orange Town. When Ling Tian flew to Orange Town, he saw Luffy lying on the ground, and Zoro was lying upside down on the ground. I'm going to chop you down. Zoro stood up and was about to draw his sword to chop Luffy. But at this moment a group of villagers gathered around with some tools in their hands. Ling Tian probably also thought that it was because Buggy was not in the East China Sea that the villagers here did not leave Orange Town. Thinking of this, Ling Tian flew down directly. Sorry. Ling Tian flew down and apologized directly to the villagers. What's the point of apologizing? You have to repair the house you destroyed. An old man wearing glasses and yellow clothes pointed a harpoon at Ling Tiandao. When Ling Tian saw this old man, he remembered who this person was. In the original book, this old man is the mayor of Orange Town, and his name seems to be Boodle. Yes, I understand. After listening to Boodle's words, Ling Tian also agreed to help repair the houses destroyed by Luffy. Spiritual Art Assistance Repair. Ling Tian waved his hand, and streams of spiritual power emerged, restoring the houses destroyed by Luffy to their original state. Are you also a devil fruit user? When Zoro saw Ling Tian restore the house to its original state in an instant, he asked curiously. No, I'm not. Ling Tian directly told Zoro that he was not a devil fruit user. Ling Tian, I'm hungry. Just then Luffy said directly to Ling Tian. Dong dong dong. Before Ling Tian could make a move, Zoro punched Luffy on the head several times. Zoro knows that Luffy is the user of the rubber gum fruit, so he can beat Luffy without any worries. Okay, stop messing around. After Ling Tian saw Zoro beat Luffy, he no longer had the mood to beat Luffy. Oh no, the buggy pirates are coming. Just then a villager ran over and shouted. When the other villagers heard this, they immediately ran back to their houses. Buggy. Ling Tian heard that there was something strange about the buggy pirates. Wasn't Buggy practicing haki in Wano country? Although it is very likely that Buggy has already mastered the observation haki and armament haki over the years. But even if that's the case, Buggy should be in the new world. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.